The following program deals with a controversial
subject.
The theories expressed are not the only possible interpretation.
The viewer is invited to make a judgment based on all available information.
the top talents in the comic book business are here to tell everything they know.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another Tuesday night here on Beyond Wednesdays. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back from MegaCon, which was an interesting event, to say the least. It was absolutely crazy. I mean, it was nuts. And I think we're going to talk about that pretty heavily next week, but we're going to get into it a little bit tonight. So just a tad. So, gentlemen, how are you doing this week?
Exhausted. Exhausted.
Yeah.
Dunzo. Ready to do
Yeah.
it again in 2 days. Let's go.
Oh,
Yeah,
my God.
no thanks.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Emmett was the only one that said, you know what, I'm going to go to the smaller con.
Yeah, it was terrible. But
Oh,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it could be worse. You could be Toronto and have no guests and nobody spending money.
yeah.
we had that.
Oh, okay.
Hey,
Right here in America.
I'd be remiss if I didn't say, like, I had so many people come up to me and be like, I saw you on Beyond Wednesdays. We love the show. Like, thanks to every single person out there that came up to me. I'm sure Brian got bombarded with people at the con, probably 80,000 more people than me, but every single person, like, guys, thank you so much. Like, we can't even tell you how much it means.
He is taller, so he stands out in the crowd.
Well,
Yeah.
it was pretty cool. I'm right there with Sean. I know, Dennis, you probably got stopped a bunch too. Everybody that stopped me said they were looking for everybody else that was at the con, which was very cool. I think it was out of this world.
The biggest comment I got was every time I went on a smoke break, I'd run into somebody coming into the convention, and they'd be like, "Oh man, oh wait, you're just smoking a regular Swisher. Do you smoke a joint on the fucking show?" And I'm like, no, I just a Swisher.
Yeah.
It was so cool getting to see the other guys too, Hood and all the other guys, man. Like, you know, the Sean's, like, it's just cool getting to see everybody, man. I didn't actually see Dennis. The only one I didn't actually get to see at the show, I don't think.
Dude,
Too busy being stuck at our booths.
Well, where were you at? I don't even know where you were at.
We were right
Next
we had
to.
a big ass booth, man.
Did you stop?
Yeah.
Did you stop by Clutch's table at all? Did you see Clutch's table at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was right next to us.
How could he have been right next to Clutch? I was at Clutch's table like 4 times.
Well, I mean, like, he was like a table down, you know what I mean? That type of deal.
Oh, I didn't even see it, man.
No worries. I walked by. I was looking for a bunch of people. Yeah, who got to say hi, man. Thanks for coming by the booth, brother. It was awesome. I walked by Mark's booth and saw Hood over there, man. He was so busy every time I walked by. I was like, I can't even want to interrupt him.
Yeah, that was crazy. It was this con more than ever, and I think that this is something that we kind of talked about. This con more than ever was like the business con. Like, people are here to make money at this con, and it's less about, you know, the parties afterwards and everything, and it's about the con type deal. You know what I mean? So, listen, I got to give a big shout out to Rye for just dropping 50 gifted memberships to everybody watching right
Ryan,
now, dude.
I'm not hearing anything outside the show in my headphones.
Yeah, nothing came out, so I don't know. What do you mean? Can you hear Sean? Can you hear?
I couldn't hear the intro music, but I can hear the 4 of us.
Yeah, that's normal.
Yeah.
I mean, I had it
Well,
down
that's
pretty
new
low.
now.
Yeah. I had it down
Okay.
really low while we were talking. So
Yeah, that pre-party was great too. Music Pub, that was cool as shit.
Yeah.
Music Pub, I'm telling you, we had what, 30 minutes together, Music Pub? And I was going to call my Uber, and he's like, dude, I got a rental. I'll just drive you to your hotel. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. And he's like, yeah, no worries.
yeah,
Music Pub is maybe one of the most
Great dude,
interesting
man.
people in our chat.
yeah, good dude. That was the big fun part about the con. Like Sean was saying, to me, it's getting to see everybody, getting to hang out with everybody. That kind of like fellowship stuff that I think is very important. But man, was there a lot of money to be made at this con. I mean, a lot of money. And you guys can see it's very evident that the money is flowing at this con. There was retailers with massive setups, AC Comics, who is pretty new to me. I've never really heard much about him, but
Dude.
They put on a statement at the show. Like, oh my
Dude.
gosh, massive tower, Clayton Crane signing the whole time. It was nuts.
That's the Clayton Crane wife lookout tower. He is up there when he is not signing. He is up there looking for somebody's wife.
I think he's happy with April. But you never know.
You never know.
Yeah, geez Louise. So we'll get into that in a little bit. And we've got some other stuff to talk about. Big news, CBCS being what I'm calling shut down. They're being put down before their time, by PSA. We have the big whatnot story, which we didn't get a chance to talk much about because we were, in Orlando. So the whatnot gambling lawsuit, which is very interesting. So we'll get into that stuff, and then next show we'll get in really deep into the cons because we got 3 big cons happening, in succession. Most retailers that I talked to, that was one of the things that got brought up is, how these cons being right in a row like this is so hard. So we'll get into that pretty heavy next week because Sean's and Dennis are going to be going to C2E2. So we're going to be hearing about that. But we have a guest for the first part of the show, and I'm going to let Dennis introduce our guest.
All right. I've known this guy for about 20 years. And when I first met him, you find out a little bit. When you meet him again, then you start hanging out with him. And the more this onion peels, you realize this is one of the jewels in the comic book industry that nobody knows about. And let's change that tonight. Tony Miello, everybody.
Tony.
Hey, guys.
How you doing, brother? Thanks for joining us tonight. Appreciate you hanging out with us.
I really appreciate being on.
Hell yeah. Dennis let me know. He said, man, you got to get this guy on the show. I've known him for a while, and he's got the industry down pretty deep. And you're just getting ready to start a new Kickstarter that we're going to talk about here in a second. But I want to hear about your history in comics. How did you get into comics?
Well, I started shortly after the boom in independence in the early 90s. Once Image started, the comic shop I went to when I lived in New York, the owner decided he wanted to publish comics, and he knew that I drew. He had some of my drawings hanging up in his store, so he asked if I wanted to work on stuff, and I was like, all right. So I wound up working with this little company called Innovision Comics. They were out of Long Island. I was the inker on a title called Fates 5, and I did that for about 4 years. I think I was with them, and we used to do shows in Manhattan every month. They had the Big Apple Comic Cons. Mike Carbonaro.
Yeah,
he used to do these little shows in a church basement.
Yeah,
and we were there every month, and it was a lot of fun.
Did I, Tony? We won't show it tonight on this show, but remind me to tell you the Carbonaro Admiral Mahdi story if I haven't told you.
Oh yes, okay, yeah. So that's where I got my start, and after that I kind of knocked around picking up little independent jobs here and there that were more to give me something to do. I think most of the stuff never even got published, and I went off and got a regular job. I was working as an electrician, and I got injured, and they told me, well, you're going to be a cripple and you're not going to be able to work and whatever. So I started drawing again. I went back to comics, and I started creating my own stuff and working on different things. And then after I got married and had a kid, I started working on this comic strip called Gappo the Clown. And it was kind of my way of dealing with having to watch children's television all the time. So Gappo was the host of a kids show, but he was, a disgusting degenerate, which I could relate to. And I started doing that as a web strip. And, when I started it, I was never really on the internet. I'm not a tech savvy guy. I'm not a web savvy guy. I thought I was doing this innovative thing, putting a comic strip on the internet. And when I found places to host it, I realized, oh, there's hundreds of strips on the internet. So I did that for a long time until my website was hacked by some Russian bots or whatever. And the site hosts wanted this ludicrous amount of money to recover the site, and I was like, well, I'll leave it alone.
Probably them that stole it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, so then, you know, after that, I started just working on different comics again, and I started a studio with some friends called Rocketing Studios. We published Odd Tales from the Curio Shop, Gunslingers.
Who was that? Who was Odd Tales collaborated with, Tony?
That was myself and Bill Pekowski, John Marquin, but we partnered with Brian O'Halloran from Clerks.
Oh,
and he
yeah.
lent his likeness to the shopkeeper in the book, who was kind of like the crypt keeper. He hosted the stories. It was a horror anthology, and that was a lot of fun. It was pretty successful. That was the first Kickstarter I ran, and so I just, you know, we were trying to branch out. We were trying to do more. We wanted to publish more independent books, and we couldn't get in any headway with Diamond, regardless of how many emails or packages of sample books I sent them. Nobody ever got back to me, and now they're dead.
Tony, I got to tell you the story. We got to tell the story tonight because you're the collaboration on this. Tony and I put together one of the best packages that I've ever tried to do with Diamond. And at the time, the comic book we were doing was Wolfman Max Chiller Drive-In.
Right.
It was already syndicated on, what was the TV channel?
I think in Detroit, it was what's now MeTV. I don't remember what it used to be.
Right. So the guy is a local Detroit guy, but he's about to get picked up by a national cable channel for hosting all of his shows, like full syndicated package. 2,000 networks, 2,000 markets.
Yeah, it was going to be all over the place.
And we already had 2 issues in the can.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, no, we don't think it's big enough.
Oh,
It
that's
would
a
have been
freaking nightmare,
the
man.
only comic book advertised on 2,000 markets in the entire Diamond catalog, and they would not greenlight it. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Tony. Sorry.
We, you know, Rocketing Studios tried to do a lot of different things, and we had just signed a big licensing deal to do some limited edition trading cards for Mexican wrestlers, and the whatchamacallit, the pandemic hit,
yeah,
and just destroyed everything. It killed us, and so you know, that was that. I fell into a depression that I didn't realize was a depression, and I went 3 years without being able to create any artwork. And when my cloud lifted, I suddenly had this renewed vigor for creating, and I started writing like mad. And I'm working with my buddy John Marquin, and you know, we have a bunch of different things that are in different stages of completion, but Killer Cosplay was, you know, we're both huge horror fans, and we get together regularly to watch horror films, and you know, we do conventions all the time together, and we talk about these horror movies. And one day we're sitting behind the table and we're talking about, what if a horror film took place at a Comic-Con? And we just kind of started spitballing ideas and pitching stuff back and forth, and we laid out the whole comic that weekend, and here we are.
Yeah, I think this is a great idea. I love this type of stuff, man. This is the inside baseball stuff that comic collectors love, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope it hope that, when comic collectors see the characters in this book, they'll find somebody that is like someone they know or they can relate to. I mean, we tried to make the characters pretty relatable, and we tried to hit some archetypes as far as personalities with the people you bump into at these conventions. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Like what? Like what are some of the personalities that he's gonna run into?
you have the overeager artist alley folk, and the aloof cosplayers, and the abusive show promoter, and so,
Wow, I wonder who you modeled that one over, Tony.
I'm not going to say names, but I'm sure you know.
I'm buying 2 copies now.
Are you going to be signing them?
No.
I'm gonna sign everything.
Yeah, this is cool, man. Great idea. How long have you done Kickstarters before? Is this the first one?
We did one other. We did one for Odd Tales from the Curio Shop. That was, I think, a year or two before the pandemic, and that I don't know. It's just it seemed easier back then. This was a lot of work. I really labored over this, and I hope it bears fruit.
Well, I think it's a great idea, and I think comic collectors will love it. I'm sure there's a lot of guys in the chat that are watching right now that'd be like, "Oh yeah, that sounds like a good idea right there." Because we listen, not to make light of it, but we've had these happen before where that guy came here, and I live in Phoenix, and the guy came here looking to do some damage at the Phoenix Fan Fusion one year. He's specifically looking for the Green Ranger, and luckily they caught the guy. And even at that time, there was a guy who in Phoenix that got caught. He was a serial killer out here, and he was a comic book artist. And
I remember that.
Yeah.
Well, Brian, do you remember the Aurora, Colorado shooter?
Mm-hmm.
He had just moved to Aurora, Colorado. Do you know where he lived before moving to Aurora, Colorado?
Who?
San Diego.
Ah.
And that was the first thing I thought was like, oh my God, San Diego dodged a giant bullet with this guy.
Well, it's pretty interesting. There's a lot of slow people that aren't going to be running very fast at a Comic-Con, including myself. I ain't running nowhere. Yeah. So talk about what's going. Actually, you know what? Let's play this. I want to play the intro really quick. So here we go. Let's get this going.
Horror stories have thrilled and frightened audiences for years. Over time, those stories evolved and gave way to subgenres. For decades, one of the most popular horror subgenres.
You guys can't hear it?
Yeah,
No.
It's whatever's in your background is totally shut off.
Huh? That's weird. That's weird that you guys can't hear it. All right.
Can the chat hear it?
The chat
That's all
can hear
that
it. Yeah.
Genres has been the slasher. Unsuspecting teenagers gathered together for a good time, only to be stalked by a supernatural killer, a crazed madman, or someone with an axe to grind. One by one, they're hunted and killed. Campsites, proms, vacation resorts, and even shopping malls became the hunting grounds for masked maniacs to butcher their victims, turning those locations into blood-soaked killing fields. For decades, comic book conventions have been spared from the traumatic antics of these iconic monsters, until now. Killer Cosplay brings the slasher genre to the show floor of your favorite comic book convention. What happens when a group of cosplayers becomes the target of the hangman, who turns the local Comic-Con into his personal hunting grounds? Killer Cosplay brings you the tale of an indie comic book creator on the cusp of making it big. But his dreams are turning to nightmares as the killer from a former creative partner's comic becomes all too real and slashes his way across the show floor. From the creators behind Odd Tales from the Curio Shop and Drawing Blood Comics, brings you their all-new graphic novel, Killer Cosplay. Dressing up in cosplay can be murder.
Excellent. Very good stuff, man. Looks very good. That was a great little intro video for it too. Good job on that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And there's a there's a retailer level.
Yes, let's
Yeah,
talk
there's
about that. The
retailer
retailer level. That's a big deal.
I got to give props to Mike Travis, a buddy of mine who's a voice actor out in Hollywood. He did the voiceover for me, and Steve Green, who did the music from Voyager 3, and my buddy Neil Tatowski, who did all the editing for me.
Yeah, it was
Very cool.
excellent. And this is cool. Talk about the retailer pledge level. This is a big deal. We've been talking a lot about this with anybody that's been, talking about their Kickstarters. Like, are you doing anything at the retailer level to bring retailers in on this? And you've got one right here that says basically for comic shop owners, that if you are a comic shop owner, any kind, then this is something for them. It'll get you 3 copies of Killer Cosplay Kickstarter, the hardcover edition, and 3 copies of the retailer paperback edition. And all 3 of the exclusives are entitled to stretch goals also. So that's a big deal.
Yeah.
So they can pick up some extra books for their shop. What's your thoughts on working with retailers? That's something that you don't see much on these Kickstarter levels.
I think anybody who doesn't want to do something for the retailers is missing the boat. Retailers are the lifeblood of this industry. I want retailers to carry my books. I don't want to make it hard for them. I'm an indie guy, and I've been doing this a long time and not had representation. If I can do something that's going to make it easier for me to get my work represented in stores, why wouldn't I do that? I mean, it's a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let me get this going here.
I might add, Tony, that you were around a retailer who was always bitching about this as well.
Well, that's true. I have been heavily. Is it influenced or brainwashed?
Ear beaten. It's called being ear beaten. That's what it is.
But something we're doing that I haven't seen before. I'm not gonna take credit that we're reinventing the wheel, but I just haven't seen it done. In this comic, there are 2 comic creators who in their world have very popular books. What we've gone ahead and done was create those books, and you're going to get as stretch goals, you'll get digital copies of issue 1 of each one of those series. So we can launch those as well.
Oh, that's cool.
So part of what we're going to do with the Killer Cosplay series is each volume will have tie-in comics from the world of Killer Cosplay.
That's dope.
That's cool.
Look, yeah, we're always up for that. Extra goodies, extra
yeah.
worlds, extra stories, all of it. That's. So, what is the plan? Do you have any plans to maybe, if this takes off, working with a publisher to get it published? Any thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, it's going to be published by Source Point Press.
Okay.
And it'll be listed, I think, in August for an October release.
Oh, cool.
But we should have the books in hand before that. So any retailer that pledges to this is going to get the book before they have to order it through whatever service they use.
Interesting. What is this comment that says, bro used to write for WWF also?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
Right. I would have liked to have, but
okay. That's off
wait.
then.
No, he's saying
Vince Russo.
I used to write as Vince. He must be making a comment about my accent.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Man, I thought somebody was trying to out you from your previous life, Tony.
That's
Look,
funny.
witness relocation changes the name.
Very, very cool, man. Good shit. This looks interesting. You guys, they're at $700. They just started. They got 30 days to go. Go show them some love. If this is something you'd be interested in, I'm gonna pin the link in the chat right now for anybody, and then for everybody that's checking it on the replay, you guys can
Tony,
find the link below.
Tony,
Yeah.
do me a favor. Can you add another level?
If they let me, sure. What do you need?
I need you to add a exclusive retailer store signing, maybe for $1,000 and a whole bunch of copies, because I'll buy one of those tomorrow.
Well, if any retailer wants me to do a store signing, shoot me a message and I will gladly work something out with you. I have, like I said, I want to support retailers. I will do everything in my power to make that happen.
Outstanding.
But I will look into adding that pledge level though.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
I better get a 2-for-1. Johnny MegaCon better come with you.
Yeah. You know what? The letter of Mike Modell, he's itching to come to these signings too. So
yeah, there you go.
You'll
And
probably
then
get
just
free.
bring sure MegaCon brings some of those tamales he brought the last
oh
show.
yeah.
Oh, those were a lifesaver. Oh my God.
I like the paneling a lot.
Yeah, the artist we hired for this book, his name is Daniel Manuel, and he had this great cinematic mind for his layouts. They're very they're very diverse. The way he lays out the pages kind of fits with how the action's going. When things start getting wild, the layouts get a little weird, and it's just he really captured what we were doing, and in some cases he enhanced what I had written for him to do. He made it so much better. So I'm super happy with how this book came out.
It looks really good.
Yeah, it does. Looks excellent.
We have the retailer cover and the Kickstarter exclusive cover were both done by Dave Acosta, and the convention exclusive cover was done by Jason Moore.
And it looks like there's a bunch of sketch covers in one of the levels. Is that the case?
No, you can get commissions from me or John as add-ons.
Oh, that's what I mean. Yeah. Okay. There we go.
Yeah.
That's cool. So, and here's some examples of some of the sketch covers that you guys are doing. So, and commissions.
Actually, Tony just did an amazing Scarlet Witch one for me. Speaking of Elizabeth Olsen.
Excellent. And then these are the two covers, right? This is the...
That's the retailer market one, the retail market one.
And then here is the...
That's the convention exclusive.
Oh, yeah. People are going to love that one for sure.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Mm-hmm.
And during the first day, the tier will expire tomorrow at noon, but you can get the retailer cover with a lanyard, a Drawing Blood Comics Killer Cosplay lanyard that when worn to any one of our live events, whether it's a book signing, a convention, or wherever we may be appearing, you'll get a discount on whatever you buy from us, whether it's commissions or books or merch or whatever.
Oh,
That's a cool
really
idea.
Cool.
That's a great
That's a super
idea.
cool idea.
That is, next level.
Yeah.
And that
Shake
lanyard
whose
also
hand
available
whoever
on
came up with
add-on
that.
also. What was that, Emmett?
Shake whoever's hand came up with that, because that's a fucking killer idea.
Yeah, I think that was John's idea. So
Yeah, and you can get multiple bundles with the books, the T-shirts, prints. Here's the T-shirt, you guys. It's a rad T-shirt.
Yeah.
And then what is this right here?
That's the that'll be the exclusive hardcover, the Kickstarter
dope.
exclusive hardcover.
Dope. Oh yeah. Well, good shit, Tony. You got any plans? Anything coming out after this? Well, you got anything you're working on other than this?
I'm working on my comic, Gapple the Clown. It's on Patreon, and you can get a 10 to 20 page comic every month through the Gapple the Clown Patreon, and weekly. I do a free weekly all ages comic strip called Noisy Neighbors, and I'm going to be working. Right now we're working on volume 2 of Odd Tales from the Curio Shop, and
cool.
And Brian in particular got on me about making sure we did that. I'm scripting volume 2 of Killer Cosplay right now, along with a couple of other comics that are going to fill into that universe. So we're busy.
Here's the Gappo the Clown stuff. I'm going to drop the link in the chat if anybody wants to go check this out. Explain this again for everybody.
So yeah, it's Gappo the Clown was a web strip I used to do. Now I do it as in a traditional comic book format, and I do the stories are 10 to 20 pages every month, and I think it's $3 to pledge if you want to read the Gappo comic. And he's the host of a kids show, and
look at this.
He gets into all sorts of wacky
Big, fat,
adventures.
and
I have 2 volumes of 2 collected volumes of the comic that I'll have at C2E2, and I'm working on volume 3 of that also, which will be done. Hopefully, the Kickstarter for that will come at the end of the year. I'm finishing up some colors, and Bill Morrison is scheduled to do the cover for that.
Oh, that's cool.
Fabulous.
Oh yeah, look at
So
this.
Krusty meets Gappo.
That's good stuff, man. Bill Morrison. I saw Bill Morrison was in Orlando this week.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is super cool. I love shit like this. I'm gonna have to go check this out. So, the
And
link
how
is in the
long
chat for that one too,
Gappo
you
has
guys.
been running for how long, Tony?
Gappo is, well, because I am terrible at bookkeeping, and I am not a very organized person. I missed his 20th anniversary, which was last year.
Oh,
So I've been working on Gappo for 21 years now.
wow.
That's excellent, man.
And there's a slight cameo by me in one of the Gappo
Yes, Dennis plays Gappo's agent. So that should tell you something about Gappo.
That's great. How many times is that you've been in a comic there, Dennis?
I don't know, like 5 or 6 probably.
More you probably don't know about too.
Yeah, exactly. I bet you a lot of people put me in there and got me murdered at some point.
Yeah.
Got you murdered.
Yeah, I remember Rich Johnson put out that CSI. Remember the CSI book?
Who killed Rich Johnson?
Who killed? It would have been funny if it was Dennis Barger that killed Rich Johnson. So, yeah, this is very cool, Tony, man. This is something that.
Thank you.
Listen, we can't thank you enough for coming on and hanging out with us, and we're gonna bring
thanks
you
so
on.
much for having me. I enjoy watching you guys, and this was awesome being here.
Yeah, man. We love to find new things to show the comic community, and this looks very interesting. Both Gappo and Killer Cosplay. So you guys, the link is in the chat. It's pinned in the chat. You can also find it in the description if you guys want to go check this out. It just started. Let's help get Tony and crew, to their goal and get this comic made. And make sure if you guys are going to be in C2E2, where are you going to be at, Tony, for C2E2?
Find me in Artist Alley, row H. Me and John will be at H, 9, and 10.
All right. There we go, you guys. So C2E2, go get a Gappo the Clown sketch at C2E2. That's the way to do it. You guys got anything else you guys want to ask Tony before we let him get out of here?
No, just if you're coming through New York for that, I'll definitely run a signing for you. again. And
Oh,
the same
awesome.
thing.
Yeah. Well,
We'll get Brian out when you guys make the second.
My dad doesn't live too far from you, Emmett, so I can come out and see you as soon as that book comes out.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Even better. Even better. Tony, thanks for joining us, man. We're going to bug you to come back when the Kickstarter is getting close to being done. And make sure if you guys stop by and see him in C2E2, let him know that you stopped by from Beyond Wednesdays, you guys. Thank you, brother. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys. Take
Adios.
care.
Take care, Tony.
Good luck, man.
Hell yeah. That was pretty sweet. So thanks for Tony for joining us. How long you known Tony, Dennis?
Easily, like probably 20 of those years. I think he had just started Gapo before he met me. And then we kind of like, at one point, Tony and I were in a morning walking club where we just walked around and smoked cigarettes and had breakfast. And I don't think any of us lost any weight, but we had fun for a couple of years.
All right. We've got big stories to talk about, you guys. I think the biggest one that everybody is waiting to hear us talk about is this one right here. CBCS closed down by new owners in favor of their own slabbing service, PSA. And I think we all saw this coming, right?
Yeah,
Well,
usually not this quickly though. Like, holy shit, they didn't even, give it a year or two to just put the brand on that. They've kept Beckett, they've kept SGC, but CBCS.
I think, as always, I'm personally responsible for this.
Of course.
Because when they announced, I was a year from not using CGC, and they announced they were starting up, and I went all in with them. And Brian, from your chats back when before I was ever on one of your shows, I was one of the biggest champions of CBCS. And then everybody I knew left, and they were all leaving for different reasons. So it wasn't just one collective boom, but it was definitely something that I knew they all left, and I saw my service completely drop, and I saw their service completely drop. And I actually got to talk to one of the former graders at CBCS, and he was like, oh yeah, once so-and-so and so-and-so left, this guy took over their jobs. And he was the biggest asshole to everybody. He would look for flaws because he hated 9/8s, and he wanted CBCS to not be the 9/8 company. And I was like, what? He goes, yeah, that was his mentality was, and I was like, okay. And I use Cody Lockwood. Cody was my facilitator for all my CBCS submissions. Cody's one of the best guys in the industry. He's out here in Michigan.
Yeah.
And Cody was just coming back to me like, bro, I don't know. Bro, I can't believe this. And I'm like, Cody, this is a 6.5. This was pressed by Red Hood. I don't have an answer for you, man. I'm sorry. And it was just like submission after submission. The straw that broke the camel's back, I submitted 30 books, all pressed by Red Hood, and we all know Hood is the king. Okay. These had the Red Hood seal of approval. And I did 9/8 pre-screen. I got 6 9/8s, and they kicked back 24 books. And guess what? 24 books I submitted to PSA right off get. And almost all of them were 9/8s.
Well, I remember you saying you were cracking a huge CBCS order that came back for your first PSA order, which I thought was interesting. But I talked to a couple people at the con. One, I'm not going to name names, but somebody who works at PSA, I talked to a little bit about all this stuff. And even before it got announced, he kind of gave me an update on kind of what was going on. And I asked him about SGC and Beckett grading, and he's like, well, we can't really do anything about them right now because they actually have a name that collectors want. Like, collectors really want that black label, right? And that black label for Beckett grading it holds, like it's got some power in the industry. It's got precedent. It's got collectors really want it. And then same with SGC. Is it SGC? Is that the name? I might be spacing on the name. Yeah. Vintage collectors love seeing
Yep.
vintage cards in SGC holders, and that's always been the case. So I understand. I don't get. I asked him. I said, why doesn't PSA just take over the black label? I mean, that would look gorgeous. You know, PSA have a black and gold for 10s and with subgrades, but it's just not their thing right now. And it was kind of interesting talking to him about the comic stuff and everything. And this doesn't surprise me either. You know, CBCS was kind of other than kind of throwing jabs at CGC for Bananagate, they haven't really had anything to brag about over the last 6 months to a year, right?
Well, they probably no marketing department when they were on their own. And if they did, they should all be fired. They're the only one with UV protection.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was, you know, that famous quote by Bill Burr on Conan O'Brien, where he's like, this person is over there fumbling the ball 100 times and you still can't make a touchdown against them. You know, the only thing they did was like, oh, banana, look, we're pressing a banana. And I was like, okay, guys, you could do better than that. You know, I'm out here struggling the war of showing people that you can get more for a CBCS if you wait. And these guys don't answer any of the CGC scandals.
But Dennis, most people can't wait like you. Like my big problem with the whole industry is, like, I had people were fighting with me because I wouldn't pay 80% on a hot item. And they're like, I make tens of thousands a month turning and burning. You're not selling enough fast enough. I'm like, the market changes on a dime.
Yep.
You're paying out there paying 80% and then you're out of business in a day.
Oh yeah.
Sean, what were you going to say?
They said it in the chat pretty well. I've been with them for ages, man, for a long, long time. You know, they were really, it was just, they were way easier to work with than CGC was when I was first getting started. They were, you know, their witness program was, you know, for good and for bad, it was easier to get into. For the witnessing stuff, it never really bit them in the ass, which is good. They kind of sidestepped a few landmines there. They could have went really south pretty quick because they made a lot of witnesses really fast. But even when they did crank down on the witnesses, I was kind of grandfathered in. I was always able to submit any book, yellow label, as long as it came from Comics Elite. My guys were all witnesses, so that was very convenient for me. And then they had some really terrible labels there early on. Like there were, the labels were so bad, and then the cases the sides would open up completely, you know, for a while there. It was just,
and this label right here is garbage. This is, I've said since get-go, label is garbage.
Yeah. So. They've never had that's probably their best one they've had, to be fair.
Yeah.
It still is nowhere near. There's just something about
I like
that.
the idea of the shield. I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
I think it's poorly fucking executed.
Yeah. It's like foil. The shield is foil, which is cool. For some reason,
there's too much empty space at the bottom. It's just not.
Yeah, and they're so easy to work with. We were submitting as of last month. We were submitting 200 books a month to CBCS. I mean, we have a huge account with those guys, and you know, Cody kind of, you know, had some frustrations and stuff, and he's a great man. He's fantastic. There's no better rep than Cody, you know, as Dennis attested to. But they had their chance. Like you said, there's no marketing, there's no outreach. The CGC booth and setup at conventions just made CBCS look like the rookies in the room in the amateur hour.
I will say this, though. They were up against a lot of barriers when they first came out. Mm-hmm. And I've talked about it on this show. CGC made an exclusive deal with Reed to bar CBCS from being at the convention.
Yep.
That was unfair business practice 101.
Big time.
And that hurt them at a crucial period leading into, you know.
Yeah, but they had a big chance when CGC was having all the problems
and all the little ones.
And they tried to take advantage of it with their little, you know, jabs at them, which were funny and good. But like we saw nothing come of it. We didn't see any.
Right.
They didn't take
Yeah, and
advantage
then-
of
Do
that.
we think the plan of CBCS all along was to be bought out?
No,
No,
no.
no, no.
I don't
those
think
guys were-
anybody thought that Beckett was going to falter too.
Well, I have a theory on this. I would say absolutely, Emmett, the plan was not to make CBCS and sell them. However, when the Beckett guy ended up getting indicted for, what was it, $2 billion worth of fraud, I think the writing was on the wall and they were like, yeah, we'll sell now.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Sean.
I was just say I think they were never meant. I think they always wanted to be a standalone, succeed company, be good on their own, make money, and there were some great guys there when they were getting started. One came up to me at the con. Mark Roman was a great dude. Worked there for a long time. It was up there for a while. I actually got to see him at the show. He's loving life now. He doesn't work there anymore, but he was a big part of them getting going and some other stuff. And just seeing them, and to what Dennis said, like, okay, so Reed, they made a deal with Reed, but you're only talking what, 3 or 4 cons? Like, they're all the Fan Expo. They could work with them, like, just working with, and they could have fought that, fair or unfair. There's a lot of people have exclusive deals with these guys. Board and bag companies have exclusive deals and that kind of shit to keep other people out. But yeah, it's kind of a shame to see him go away because I think competition is good for any industry. You know what I mean? But at the same time, like, they didn't do what they should have done. There was zero convention presence. There was zero witness program. There were no like signing programs set up. Like, you would get emails from CGC constantly. We're doing a McFarlane. Go. You don't have to go after big names. Don't get a McFarlane. Go after
Right.
so anybody. Go out.
Mark,
exclusive signing with
yeah.
Dennis. I mean, it's
Yeah.
anybody, for crying out loud. Like,
well, that was the thing I was always trying to push him for was, hey, we should do an exclusive signing with this person or that person. They're like, yeah, I don't know when we'd be able to do that. And well, we only have a few people at the booth for that show. I don't know if we could do it. It was all excuses with them. They never wanted to propel. And I'll tell you what, I have broken probably 10 sales records with PSA easily, maybe more. I don't pay attention except for when it happens. Everybody from the PSA company likes it, shares it, talks about it. I would do the same thing at CBCS and nothing. Crickets.
Yeah.
Crickets. And I'm like, I'm doing your work for you guys. At a certain point, fuck you. I don't work for you. I work for me. I'm in the Dennis Barger business.
Yeah. No, that's a good point too. Like, there were many times where I asked him for a custom Comics Elite label. Like, can I have a custom Comics Elite label?
Great idea.
With the amount of books that you're.
And to Cody's credit, he pushed it. Like, he was like, I almost got it approved. I was like, can I get I'll do a CE label, a Merc label, a label for Power Hour for my characters. I'll do like 4 or 5 different labels. I'll commit to 3,000 of each label. Like, I know what it takes to make. You just got to have somebody in Canva or Photoshop make a new label and then print the print button at a different time. And I mean, it's not complex, Jesus.
No.
So, but they just missed all these opportunities. So it's sad to see him go, but in a way, like, they kind of did it to themselves too by honestly, I think, and we keep saying this guy's name, Cody. He's such a great dude, man. Such an awesome person. He's probably the reason they lasted so long, but they probably refused to see that.
Well, people like that are so important in a business that they keep people there even when there's bullshit going on. You know what I mean? Like, you like somebody that works there, that's your rep, that you really respect and that has tried to really, work for you and get things done. Those type of people are so invaluable. But like, people will stick around on the idea that, like, okay, I really like working with this guy. But if you see nothing, I got to be honest. Hearing Dennis, you decided, like, hey, I'm done with these guys. Behind the scenes, even before PSA, you kind of talked about how you were tired of the BS.
It's really funny how I'm done with CGC, and then a year later, CBCS starts up, and I'm done with CBCS, and literally within 6 months, PSA announces comic books. I'm like, okay, that's where I'm going.
Well, here's the biggest one of the biggest problems that I think with all the grading services is these population reports, because you know you got all these different grading companies, and it would be nice if we could figure out some type of third party to do a population report for all the grading companies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Population report is fucked. There's
Yeah,
no
it is.
fixing it.
yeah, it is,
Yeah. It's so bad.
which sucks.
Hey, thanks, Awesome Sauce. Appreciate that.
Yeah. So basically, when it comes to grading and collectibles in the future, another thing I heard is we've had a couple people in the chat talk about tonight is the manga grading. And it sounds like PSA is going to be getting into the manga grading world here sooner and later. Yeah.
I had actually heard that they were going to keep Beckett on the manga because the manga cards that are preferred graded by Beckett are also the preferred grade, so that Beckett and Beckett on One Piece cards and One Piece manga are still going to maintain.
They are, but they're phasing out the Beckett grade. They're getting ready. They're going to phase out the Beckett grading here in a little
Oh.
bit. And yeah, from what I hear, but I could be wrong about that. Maybe I was misunderstood. And PSA has a perfect holder. I guess they're going to be utilizing. I could be wrong about that. We're gonna get the PSA head graders, one of the two, on the show here shortly. I talked to one of the head graders in a different guy I talked to in Orlando about coming on the show and talking to us. So we'll have to pick his brain
Nice.
about what's coming on in the future. So, but you're right about that, Dennis, is that Beckett is the preferred grader for manga books right now,
Right.
in a major way. So
that one guy just invested $270,000
for that one
Am
piece,
I wrong?
Yeah, for that one piece.
Well, it was for 3 different first edition mangas.
Yeah, 3 different guys went in on 3 different books together, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember how it went down, but whatever it was, that was all CBCS graded manga. So it's clearly got a market.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting. But the bigger question I want to ask is does this mean that PSA is gaining headway on CGC? And I think the answer is yes. I think that over the last couple of months, we're seeing that in a major way. And with PSA basically coming in and shutting down CBCS, and everything's going to be PSA grade now, you're starting to see prices. You're starting to see across the comics world, the collectibles world, where PSA pricing is being competitive with CGC, if not being better than CGC. Especially on some of the small, I wouldn't say smaller books, but like not the major keys. You know what I mean? And on
What do you think
9.6s,
about the auction houses, though?
and on 9.6s and below.
So
PSA is
when
doing
you
better.
take your book to auction house, they usually send it to CGC. Do you think they'll be sending it out to PSA?
So I talked to the head grader, one of the head graders, about that specifically. I said, when do you think you guys are going to start seeing those big boy books? Because that's what needs to happen in order for PSA to start to actually make that jump. Is we got to start seeing the AF-15s, the detectives, the action, the golden age pre-code horror in PSA slabs selling from Heritage and selling from Golden and selling from Comic Link. That's what needs to happen. And until that happens, I think that CGC is still king.
I agree 100%. I mean, you're used to seeing CGC slabs when those big books go up.
Yeah.
And
But
who's Heritage using? That's
yeah.
Who's Heritage
and
using?
I'll tell the story. I'll tell the story here because Emmett, I told you right after it happened.
Yeah.
We picked up those 20 books from PSA's booth and did our little video. I took him straight over to Heritage, to my Heritage consigner, and he brought the comic book guy over. the comic book guys like, I don't know if we're going to carry PSA. I don't know. And I'm like, guys, you do all of your cards through PSA. Why would you not do, well, I don't, and I'm like, okay. I just took them all home and I gave them first crack at it. And I went over and I told PSA and they were like, that's discouraging because we do a lot of business with them for the cards. And then guess what? A month later, PSA books started showing up in heritage auctions.
Yeah, but I'm talking about, so Mom and Pop Jones, who finds stuff in their attic and calls the auction house and goes, hey, I found this in my attic. Oh, bring it down to us. Who are they? Who's heritage going to get their books graded by?
They're still going to CGC.
That selling Superman.
That's what I'm saying. Is
that selling Superman put all of his books through CGC.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to take a seismic shift, I think, for that to happen. I think PSA has a few things to do. Like, we got to remember something too, guys. Like, comics and cards are two separate industries. And I think everyone's trying to think, oh, PSA, they're grading comics and cards now, but they're two separate industries. Look at the label. The label made, and I think aesthetics means a lot to the comic book collector. How many aesthetics means everything to us. We're a very visual, more visual industry than maybe not more than cards. I don't know. That's all subjective, right? But that label, right? In my opinion, still that label, it may mean something to a card guy that sees a comic guy and is like, oh, it's the same thing. But honestly, the label was the death of CBCS. Now, I'm not saying PSA's label is going to kill him. However, CGC still has a humongous advantage on reputation, history, just the way it looks.
Right.
I held that. Go ahead, Dennis.
But Sean, millions and millions of cards have been graded with that PSA red label.
Yeah.
Okay.
Every top sale for a card is usually in that PSA label.
Okay.
Gary Vaynerchuk, right during the pandemic, was telling everybody that in his sports card world, comics are the next big thing. Do you think the card people who listen to Gary Vaynerchuk and follow those trends, the Kevin O'Leary's buying $1 million cards, when a big book comes up, they're gonna trust that PSA red label. They're not in our world and are robotically trained blue label, blue label, blue label, blue label. They see PSA. Oh, that's where my millions of dollars worth of cards are graded with. And now I want to play with comic books. I'm going to buy that PSA first Wolverine. I'm going to buy that PSA first Deadpool.
Okay. So when that happens, how long is it going to take for, number one, the big guys to want to actually, somebody finds a, big Gary Vaynerchuk, these big YouTubers, whoever the F it is, right? They're going to start sending their books to PSA all of a sudden because PSA is where it's at. And we got to do PSA now. How long is that going to take for the average collector to be like, you know what? Books sell more, because that's everyone's justification for using CGC over CBCS is books sell more, books sell more, books sell more. I hear that shit like a broken record. I've never had that experience, but I guess the big guys, oh, look at the historic data, and CGC does sell for more. Okay,
well, that's because GPA only records.
Right, exactly. It's easy to prove you're the highest sale if you don't include any other sale.
Exactly. So, okay, I've never had that experience. I've sold the same books. A little dude like me. Just a dude selling blue label weekly books or my exclusive or a signed exclusive that we do, that industry, that side of the market, right? It's going to take a lot for people to be like, oh, you got PSA, that'll sell more than CGC. I think it's going to take a long time. And again, aesthetics matter. I think the label's ugly as shit for comics, right?
I don't love the CGC label except when they add the when you get like, oh, I want a Wolverine or a Spider-Man. I think that they did that really well. Those what do they call the labels when they put the actual hero of the book on the label?
It's just,
the custom labels. Yeah,
the custom labels. I think they look the best. I think that was a really smart idea, a really good marketing idea.
Yeah, I mean, only time will tell. This is just our opinions. Right?
I love tags thing. They there's no piece of paper. I think it's either lasered. I think it's
Yeah, it's
lasered on.
laser etched.
Badass.
Etched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
I think that would be a really cheap thing, and it would look great, especially
I
for
think
comics.
I think best case scenario is we see a book, a 6.5 is a 6.5 for the same book, no matter what company it's at, because that should be the industry period. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter if it's PSA, CGC, it doesn't freaking matter. 6.5 is a 6.5. Grading subjective, get different
Yep.
people to look at it. If it's a big book worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, you're going to have they're not just giving it to Bob who just started 3 weeks ago. You know, they're giving it to that guy's grading my books. He's grading my 9.6 and 9.8s, right, for my weekly books. They have serious eyes on these books, and best case scenario, I think for the industry, for PSA even, is that a 6.5 is a 6.5 no matter what it is. It doesn't matter. It's going to sell more. And in these auction houses, you see, is it graded? Yeah. By who? Who cares? Doesn't matter. Right? It's like a Lucio Prio Vampirella cover. What issue is it? It's issue who gives a shit. It's a Lucio Prio cover to Vampirella. Are you going to change your mind if it's issue 12 or 13?
My favorite, because like I said, I sold exclusively CBCS for 10 or 11 years. People would send me that. I see you're asking $800 for this book, but the CGC sells for $800 and CBCS is always 20% lower. Will you do that? And I'm like, you should have bought the CGC one. Go. And then within a month, it sells for $800.
Yeah. If somebody wants to say this book is worth more because it's graded by a different company, I don't know if that's what you're saying.
Yeah. They were trying to haggle based on, I want this book, but I don't want to pay what you want for this book.
Well, that's usually a flipper who wants to get the 20% so they can regrade it.
Yeah.
And make that 20%.
Yep.
Yeah.
It would never be me.
And I always found that CBCS was a tougher grader than CGC. And back to what you were saying about the big boy books, I had 3 different conversations about exactly that. Nobody I talked to in the last year since that 9.9 giant size X-Men sold has any faith in that grade at auction.
Oh yeah, no way.
And
it's been known, like you said, CBCS always is the more stricter grading, always, even weekly exclusives, no matter what it is. I would get way more 9.2s and 9.4s than I would from CGC.
Oh yeah. Not if Red Hood pressed them.
That's true. That's true.
Well, here's a question I have. Are we going to see CBCS graded books drop in value? Is their value going to be hurt because of this on secondary market?
I don't know. I'll lead off on this one. I feel like short term people might be like, oh, CBCS is done, they're dead, their books are worthless. But I don't know. I still feel like a graded book is a graded book. Of course, aesthetics matter, right? And CGCs are prettier, arguably, depending. I don't see a big difference, but I don't
market
think so.
will try to. I think they're going to try to drive the market down.
Yeah,
so that the flippers can buy them up, crack them, and resubmit them to somewhere else, as long as they can make the profit margin.
Well, possibly cracking a CBCS book.
My suggestion is either CGC or PSA needs to figure this one simple thing tomorrow. Make an offer to cross over the comic book at a discounted price. All CBCSs. If CGC did it, it would be like a giant rub in the face of PSA. If PSA does it, it says, we bought this company, we killed this company, we want you to try out our service at a discounted price, bring those over here. One of those two things needs to happen to actually shift the needle
very smart.
And be geniuses.
Yep.
Well,
and
remember,
if they don't, they're leaving money on the table and they're dumb.
Remember, CBCS was known to grade harder too on the scale. So, if you can go out there and pick up cheaper CBCS books and get them reslabbed, you have a better chance at a higher grade because that's always been the case.
Did you ever see my video of my 20 crossovers?
Yeah.
Most of those were CBCSs. I got a better grade at PSA on, and pardon me if I got the numbers wrong, but I think roughly 6 of them, they said they couldn't get me a better grade. And they kicked them out. 4 of them or 3 of them went down a notch. And the majority of them, 10 or 12, went up between 0.2 and 0.5 off of the previous grade.
You know, if I agree with what Dennis said, but the unfortunate thing is, if PSA was going to do that, the time to do it was when they announced that CBCS is going down.
Right at the end of, yeah, that would have been great. Is like, here it is. And then if you want it reholdered, here's what we're going to do at $8 a piece.
But they were like, oh, the last time you can submit books is in April. It's like, well, who's going to submit anything? I canceled all my submissions as of right now. That's done.
Who wants to catch a ferry out to the Titanic after you know?
Yeah, who wants to keep throwing money at that? So yeah, the time to do it would have been, again, it just makes you wonder, like, who's running the show over there? Like they bought this company, they invested no money into it whatsoever, no marketing, no promotional, nothing, and now they're just shutting it down without having a crossover. Like, what? Like, God.
They left a lot of money on the table.
Who's running the show over there? Like, come on.
Yeah.
Clearly, no one's listening to Cody.
Do you think now that there's only 2? Because can we really count PGX anymore?
No.
There's still another one that isn't the
EGS.
They're
He's
not
very small.
No, if anybody knows where EGS is, let the guy over here know.
Somebody tell that guy to contact me, please.
Oh, he owes you some books.
Supposed to be something.
he kind of fell off the map. Everybody I've talked to about EGS, and by the way, EGS had a little bit of word of mouth out there because of the custom labels, and I've seen a lot of people in chat talk about that.
Billy knows that guy. He's the one that connected me with the guy.
Yep.
Hey, Billy, ask him. Billy did a good video of submitting, cross submitting to different companies too.
Yes.
Same books. He did a good job of that. It took him a long time. That was a really good video he did.
Yeah, that's the type of stuff we need to see more of. I mean, where there was a big call out about card grading that the one guy did on that recently, where he sent all of the Ken Griffey Jr. cards to all the different graders, and some of them came back trimmed, some of them came back authentic, some of them came back with a grade oversized. Yeah, like what the fuck? What's going on here? You know?
Hey, Three Rivers, I agree with you. What's a flipper? Everyone's a flipper. Walmart's a flipper. They buy stuff at cheaper prices, try to resell it. An official music pub, I got mailing my RDJ off to Golden tomorrow.
My buddy went to GameStop, and apparently they have, I can't remember if it was 151 or Prismatic Evolution Pokemon packs, and they had the booster bundles. And I'm like, dude, you should buy those. And he's like, they're $75 a piece. And I'm like, what? They're charging $12 a piece retail per pack on a $6 pack at retail. So they're in the scalping business. GameStop is in the scalping business right now.
Yeah. Listen, I said this like, I don't know how many shows ago. Corporations see what kind of margins collectibles are getting. They want to be in the collectible business.
Yep.
The two biggest graders in the business who are deciding what values these books have are in the collectible business because of the margins. Every time.
Comic book agents are checking prices on eBay and selling books for what those books are going for. Comic book creators are selling exclusives of their booth for what flippers would get for flipper prices.
Yep.
So everyone's just, and you know who, I don't know, man. This is a whole nother topic, Brian, for another show.
for me, the word flipper
goes in with all the topics we have banked up.
The word flipper doesn't, somebody who's built a business has a tax ID number, and it is a business, is not a flipper. Sorry to disagree with Three Rivers. We're not all flippers. Flippers are not paying into the system and being good stewards of the industry.
of the
I
hobby.
don't know,
Yeah.
man. I don't know.
They burn people out. It's happening in cards with people selling $20,000 boxes, and people get doinks.
Well, let's talk about that because that's a nice segue into this one. Customers accuse Whatnot of illegal gambling operation over sports card breaks and repacks. And what's very interesting about this, and I don't know if you guys have looked into this, but the guy who is very, integral to this case is Paul Lesko, the hobby lawyer. And this is crazy because basically Paul on Twitter follows all the lawsuits against all these, hobby, businesses. And a couple of people reached out to him and said, "Hey, listen, I think that this feels like I'm getting screwed on this stuff, and it's gambling and involved. And now you've got a class action lawsuit from multiple sports people." But here's the funny thing: does comics get involved in this lawsuit over the mystery pack thing?
Well, if comics don't get wrapped into this, because clearly he's focusing on cards. I listened to a couple of his interviews. If comics don't get wrapped into this ancillarily, Whatnot will definitely treat whatever the outcome of this case is, will
across
treat
the board.
Across the board. So if you do mystery box Nike shoes, get ready for that to change. If Whatnot eats a turd on this one.
Yeah,
if you do,
you're absolutely right.
Mystery comics, Whatnot is not going to settle this lawsuit over card breaks and then go, "Okay, comic people, keep scamming. You're good."
We always get caught up in the bullshit that comes down from the card market. It's never a comic guy that ruins it. It's the card guys that ruin it for everybody else. There's always
the thing
a new rule.
is that when did all this gambling stuff get allowed for retail to do? When I started doing retail, and it's really not that long ago, when I actually put my sign out the door, got the tax number and everything, 12 years ago.
When you stop being a flipper?
When I stopped being a flipper. I wish I was a flipper because I always got beat on my collections back in the day. But anyway, you couldn't run any kind of contest that everybody didn't get in it for free.
Yeah.
Like no purchase necessary was on everything.
Yeah.
The only way that you could run a spinning, a bingo, and you had to be a non-for-profit.
I mean, I hope Paul Lesko's not doing this, but when I was on Whatnot, and Brian, I remember I talked to you before I went on Whatnot, because we were all in that initial group. I said, I intend to lose money to build my audience. And I was giving away $1,200 books on a mystery box. But if you bought the mystery box, you got entered into the raffle. Totally illegal. Nobody stopped me. Everyone knew what I was doing. Nobody said, "Hey, that's illegal." No.
Maybe that's why this happened, Dennis.
Tech guy over here, the feed's dropping out. I finally said, "Who the fuck do I gotta blow to get a tech guy over here?"
Jesus.
Perfect segue. Perfect.
How can you have every? So it's $20 for everything, and I guess they think if the total of the $20 is the total of everything on the wheel, that's fair. But when somebody gets $5 worth of stuff for $20,
that's where it falls apart.
Gambling.
Yeah, and so what I did was and I won't beat the dead horse with this. I used to build these mystery boxes. I would say, look, there's at least $400 worth of product, one slab, 2 or 3 other things. This is the hits. I always took a picture of what everything in these boxes were giving, except for the bonus stuff that I didn't count towards the thing, which were usually several of my my Wonderworld variants as extra filler. And the high would be like $1,000 book. And the average would be a $300 or $400 book. And I'd start the bidding at $300. And sometimes they'd go for $600. Somebody would get a $400. I mean, I remember the first big clutch drop for Invincible?
Yeah.
Those Kirkhams?
Yeah.
Shit, some of those are going for $1,000 a pick.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd get the $500 cover plus some extra stuff. And it absolutely is gambling. And this is something that I think growing pain wise that the industry needed to have happen and kind of curtail to get everybody back in check.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a big history of gambling in the comic universe, right? When I was first starting again, there were these huge groups, these huge raffle
The
groups. And then
raffle groups.
man, I've some of my biggest books I've ever gotten, I won in some raffle groups. And you would buy spots, and they're still out there. There's tons
Yep.
of them out there.
Isn't
Oh,
that
they
how
are.
Gem Mint got? Didn't he get a big slap on the wrist because of that too?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, a
Yeah.
lot of PayPal accounts got banned because they would see all these $10 transactions come through in a quick, and some idiots would put in the notes, here's
Raffle ticket.
Here's my
$40
spot.
for my spot. They put spot or something
Yeah.
like that, or for for my raffle, they put the word raffle in the money they would send you.
Yep.
Instant flag, your PayPal's closed.
Yeah, I think Jim got hit for like $100,000 freeze on his account or something.
I had $125,000 locked up for a year
Oh,
through
geez.
PayPal. It was stupid. It wasn't for that. It was for other bullshit. But anyway, and then so these groups would happen, and then we would go live on Facebook, and we would do the same thing. We'd be like, look, 10 spots, $10 each. The winner gets, and then we'd go to random.org. And there were guys got caught. God, I know all the stories, man. Guys would get caught scamming.
2-second delays and all that kind of
camera
stuff.
would leave the screen for a split second, and they would change windows. And I was part of all these groups, man, and guys figuring this shit out. There was so much drama. I can't think of how much time wasted in those groups. But now, so transfer this over into Whatnot, and people want to make their sales fun, right? But there's always somebody that ruins it and goes too far. And I understand Whatnot's got to put these rules in place. Like Emmett said, not anybody can run a bingo hall. That's gambling. You have to have a non-for-profit charity. It can't be more than 10% of your gross annual revenue. There's all these rules in place for
Lots
it, right?
of them. Yeah.
Yeah, so many rules in place. So it was only a matter of time, and it's always the car guys. There's so much, in my opinion. Of course, there's scammers in comics too, but these breaks and all this stuff, it's just always problems waiting to happen.
What's kind of funny though?
When they burn their customers so much, it's like the whole Pac-Man having that crash out on his own channel because he's burnt. People have spent so much money and got doinks time after time.
That was his mistake though, Emmett, because he did a break to show everybody the product for himself. Right. And said, yeah, this product sucks. And then several hours later, he went on his actual break and tried to get people to buy into it after he just said the product was shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
hyping it up.
But I wanted to say something real quick, though. And this is exactly what happens. And this is more of a statement to Whatnot. I've had in the last 10 days, at least 5 current Whatnot sellers who know that I have, by the way, this giant sale tomorrow on eBay Live for 87 Invincible back issues. Cheap plug. And they're all like, hey, Dennis, how can I get into eBay? I'm like, eBay's got to get a hold of you. It doesn't go the other way around. They contacted me, and I'm pretty sure they're trying to keep a lot of the stuff that happens over at Whatnot out of eBay.
Yeah, they're trying, but unfortunately, so much of the live selling industry is built off of this. You know what I mean? The TCG world and the cards world, and the blind bags and the mystery packs and stuff like that. But here's the question: also, I thought Whatnot kind of battened down the hatches on this not too long ago, where they said, "Hey, with mystery packs, you got to declare what the hits are. You got to do this. You got to do that." To try and get around this. So they've made the changes. My question is, are those changes good enough to where they're not going to get hit for this and they're going to say, oh, well, you didn't do it quick enough. You know what I mean? Because
no, they just figured a way to get around it.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
So they made all these rules, and then those guys were like, well, how can we gamify what's left, the space that they didn't talk about? And then they just gamify around it.
But is that going to cause Whatnot to take a hit on this? You know what I mean? Like is
I
Whatnot?
don't think Whatnot will end up taking a hit on it. They'll be forced to make changes.
Well, that's what I mean.
usually
They've already
ends up in
made those
court.
changes. So are those changes
Not good enough.
You don't think they're good enough?
No. These guys aren't tops. They aren't like really listing your chances of getting the best thing, your chances of not getting it.
Well, the whole thing that the lawsuit is about chance mechanics, right? So as long as you're saying what the hits are, what are the odds, and that type of stuff, I think that's important. On
you think a guy that's cracking cards know the odds when they're doing repack?
Well, that's what
product?
Whatnot is forcing them to do now.
Big difference. Every card, Brian knows this, and I've actually got
every card pack.
here.
Yeah.
Every card pack, every blaster, every whatever has
it's different on a break when you're picking a team, when you're buying a team.
That stuff is a different odd, and that's where I think this is.
Try and figure it out.
Right, exactly. It doesn't exist, and that's why I think they're trying to stick to the odds. You're selling a pack, blah blah blah, and that was my biggest complaint with those Marvel. Luckily, Sean hit the jackpot on the Marvel blind bags. But there were no odds. Five Robert Downey Jr.'s 350,000 print run. You have a 1 in 700 or 70,000 chance of getting a Robert Downey Jr. Nothing like that.
We didn't even know they existed at FOC.
Right, exactly. And that's what I think is going to kind of trickle down. The Mark Spears blind bags are going to have odds on the bag. The Marvel bags, if you want to sell them on Whatnot, you're going to have the odds ratio. And if you don't, they're going to be treated as a repack in some cases.
We don't know the ratios on the Daredevil bags that we don't have yet, that some people do, but I guess we don't.
I knew you'd sneak that in. Tell them about it, guys. Tell them about it.
Hey, I mean, how do your Daredevil bags look?
I have no idea because I didn't get them. And my son checked online and it says they're going to be out tomorrow. But I didn't get any. I know I ordered some.
Let me pull up my Penguin and look. I don't.
That's what I was just doing when you guys.
And Brian says I'm distracted while the show's going on.
Yeah, so mine says I didn't order. I ordered the blind bags. Where's the blind bags? Because there's so many covers that you could order. So you could order them separately and not the blind bags.
Music says they're next week.
The blind bags were, I think, a FOC before, though.
FOC was 119, and it says I didn't order any.
That's crazy, 119.
So, real quick, to go back onto this Whatnot stuff. So, the changes that they made for stricter transparency on surprise products is what they call it. They required approved, professionally sealed products, manufacturer verification, audits and checklists, compliance enforcement, and removals for non-approved listings. And they did this to clean up the mystery box in the chance ecosystem for buyer protection. They also increased their vetting and audits for repacks to get rid of the misleading sales and fraud concerns.
Guess who gets that money from that? PSA, because they're now doing certifying repacks.
Yes. So they're trying to show that they're regulating the format and not running gambling, but they might still be in trouble because the claims.
How many years are we in?
Well,
how many years are we in?
The fact that users are paying money and that the outcomes are determined by chance and that the prizes vary in value, those are the three main things, I guess, that they can get hit on. But I don't know, man.
From the beginning, why everybody said, "Well, why aren't you on Whatnot? So much money." They have no fucking integrity.
Well,
none.
I don't know about that.
If they did, they would have stopped that gambling from the beginning. Listen, I get it. You guys are all making a shit ton of money over there.
Not me. I walked away.
What are you talking about? I don't sell anything on Whatnot. I sell maybe. I've done maybe. Yeah. What are you talking about?
I do. We're live on Whatnot right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just, again, if I'm big on integrity, guys, I really am. But I am disconnected from the sports card world. We know this, right? I don't give a shit about sports cards. But in my experience with Whatnot is they're always coming out with a rule change to try to either cover their ass or protect themselves. And it seems to do what's right. Like even in the world of the naughty books, like you can sell Playboys, you can't sell Playboys. Now you can, now you can't. You can't have you can't have boobies shown. Now you can. Now you can't. Oh, you can, but you can cover them. Now you can't have any of them at all. If you do cover them, it's just they're always shifting the gears and shifting the things, and it's all reactionary. Oh, now we're available to 13-year-olds can download us on the Apple Store, so now you can't show naughty stuff
Anything.
anymore, but you could before. Like, and if it seems like in this card world, they're trying to protect buyers without ruining the experience for everybody, but it's this game, it feels like, and I could be wrong here, but there's a tug of war between sellers and whatnot, and the buyers between, look, we want to have fun, I do like the breaks, the gambling aspect is a little bit fun to it, the chance, some people get off on that kind of stuff, but it's got to be fair, and there's always those that ruin it, and for everybody, because they're trying to just
but listen, hold on here, but here's the other thing. The people that are doing it right and that aren't fucking scamming people shouldn't be lumped in just because they're selling on whatnot.
Yeah.
Right, Emmett? Am I right about that?
Okay,
I shouldn't be lumped in with the people that are gambling on whatnot.
Brian, have you ever eaten street food? Anywhere you've gone, just said, "Oh, I'm going to get a taco from that place," or "I'm going to get." If you got food poisoning from one of the taco shops and made you violently, deathly ill, how often would you be saying you should regulate all of these all of these street food
I wouldn't
vendors?
be.
See, you're wrong.
What are you talking about? I've gotten food poisoning from street food.
No,
I'm not sitting here saying that you should regulate street food people. We know that is the chance you take.
Yeah, the health department should check on those people on a regular basis, and
they do.
Regulated.
They do.
They are highly regulated.
Yeah.
No.
What are you talking about? Food trucks are highly regulated.
I just watched a whole documentary about businesses going out of business in San Diego, and we saw this, Emmett, because they sell food at their restaurant bar, and somebody will roll a.
So does that mean every restaurant should get in trouble because the food truck industry is not regulated?
Hold on a second. Mr. Former CBCS is in the chat, everyone. Steve Borock, everyone.
There he is.
Looks like you got off the ship in a life raft way before.
Way before.
Yeah. He says the news about CBCS is not shocking at all. Yeah.
So there's a company that is doing something wrong, and you're using it. And the money that you make, they are taking a percentage of it to continue to do the wrong things.
How long did you stay with Diamond?
Forever.
Diamond was doing shitty things. So does that mean you should be lumped in with everybody that was doing shitty things at Diamond?
I was not selling on Diamond. I was
buying.
It
doesn't matter.
Diamond.
It doesn't matter. You were working with Diamond, and Diamond was doing shitty things.
They were taking your money.
They were screwing over retailers.
I left Diamond way before everybody else. So
I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about you. Yeah,
I get it.
But that's what I'm saying. You can't lump. There's bad apples in everything.
Yes,
and you can't lump.
If that's the case, then eBay should be shut down because there's so many scammers on eBay. eBay should have been shut down 40,000 years ago.
They should have been forced. This is the problem: is that everybody wants everything deregulated, there's a lot of people out there, they loving all the deregulation. This is where what we get, right? Every person that they may not even start out bad. They see a guy doing it and they're like, that's how you make money. They almost tell you that when you sign up. They've been trying to get me on there. I still haven't had my first show. They're still trying to get me to use Whatnot. Whatnot has contacted me multiple times. They're like, oh, you got to do 10-second sales and do a lot of giveaways, and surprises are great, and this, that, and the other thing. And they're getting sued for gamifying and stuff.
Yeah.
What is giving away giveaways to get people to come to your?
That's just their initial training to try to. That's their carte blanche cookie cutter training for everybody to try to just get them to be successful, because it's tough when you first start out. You're talking to a room full of nobody, for 2 hours. By the way, the blind bags are next week, Emmett, not this week. 4/1.
Yeah, I still can't see if I ordered 10 and I don't see them on my order.
So this is the thing, and you're right, Steve. Steve says there are bad people in our hobby, and some are big boys. And listen, we know that. And not only that, there's some real fuckery going on in our hobby in all different planes and different tent poles. But at the same time,
But shouldn't we stand up and force those people out?
Yeah,
Because
yes,
they don't come to my shop because I forced them out.
Yes, but do you think that Whatnot is complete fuckery just across the board?
It's bro culture bullshit who's trying to suck money out of
I don't believe that
something
anymore.
they don't give a shit about.
I don't. Why do you think that now? Why do you still think that's the
I've
case?
always thought that.
No, why do you think that's the
Brian-
case now?
Because
it's like P.T. Barnum and these guys. I talk to these guys. You see when they're talking, they don't know anything about comics or very little, especially about the new comics
and this
they're trying
is
to
no
sell.
offense to Sean or Brian, but you don't own a store. Emmett,
Yeah,
how
but
many of these new Jack Flippers come into your store that are Whatnot sellers and only want to buy your Invincibles, your Spawns, your, whatever the hot book on Whatnot is?
It
and they
sounds
want
like
to-
you guys are putting up signs that says you want to change prices at the register right now. That's what it sounds like.
I slap stickers on everything. You
Well,
can buy whatever you want.
You
But
know,
when
this
you're
new
like,
Jack Flipper thing sounds like that's where you're coming from.
you know what? But you're the one that's kind of getting offended by this.
I'm not
and
offended. I'm just asking. I'm just bringing up a
Sounds like
point.
you're a little chat. Does he sound a little agitated?
So I
I don't
think
give a
understand.
fuck.
So what Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what Brian's trying to say is you can't this may be a bad analogy. You can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's a terrible analogy. But you can't lump in
Can't have your
all
cake and
Whatnot
eat
as
it
total
too.
shit and garbage because there's a few crappy people on there doing crappy things.
Right.
Like Whatnot tries to protect buyers all the time from what I've seen. They're constantly putting out new rules and new changes, upgrading the app, upgrading this, upgrading the TOS, constantly doing stuff. These guys want to make money.
But
right?
you got to police your own, Sean.
Exactly. I say that all the time.
There's Whatnot. Hold on.
Whoa. You call me a gatekeeper when I try to police the comic industry all the time. So do I police my own or do I not?
Yeah, there's a difference between gatekeeping because the true gatekeepers, there's a difference between defending and gatekeeping.
Do we police our own or not?
Your gate's pretty small though, Sean. So we're talking I'm talking about Whatnot. There's a guy named Mr. CEO of Whatnot. Then there's a bunch of people below him on the pyramid, and they're called managers of departments. Then there's people below those that are the sub-managers of departments.
We all understand.
I understand
how
but hold on. And when somebody fucks up on this little department here, the whole top down needs to go, get that motherfucker out of here. I don't want to ever see his face here.
Yeah.
When
How long
somebody
did it take
fucks
them to
up
get
over
Epic
here,
off?
there's tons of people. Backyard Breaks is still on, and it's still one of their marquee people. They don't police their own. You can't tell me that CEO of Whatnot, I think it's the Winklevoss brothers, all the way down.
They don't care what you're doing. If you're
They
making,
don't
one
care.
of the top
As
money
long as that
makers
money
for them,
is still going up to the top, that's all they give a fuck about. And
There
if
could
you're
be-
one of the
there-
good people,
There could
Bricks,
definitely be truth. There's
two to
definitely
the
truth
left
to
and
that.
4 to the right of the scumbags, you're going to get lumped in with those scumbags.
But there's truth to that in every industry, though. I
no,
promise
but
you that.
they
I
also
promise
still
you,
pick winners and losers.
I promise you the biggest.
And the difference
How
is,
do you think they do that? How do you think they do that?
They can set push people in their algorithm that they feel make them a lot of money.
Well, I'll tell you,
people who are popular.
I'll tell you exactly how they do it. They bought an AF-15 from Midtown Comics for X amount of dollars, or they bought it from somebody, and then they gave it away, or they sold it through, I think, Midtown at New York Comic Con. If I'm getting this wrong, forgive me. And it was all just to benefit Midtown Comics. That's picking a winner and a loser, buying the most expensive book you could buy, and then giving it to somebody.
When they were doing exclusives early on, who ended up getting those exclusives, right? Because they don't want it. I get it, but they aren't right. They're not the ones selling it, except to the people who are going to then sell it to the retail to the customers.
So let's just say there is. They can push an algorithm. They can. There are people that should be kicked off of there that should have been. If the bigger guys get special favoritism, that's true in every single industry.
I've got a short box of Ninja Funk that proves they don't produce a good quality product and they don't care.
Yeah, but that's not. But
even in our industry, they I promise you, certain guys who submit books to CGC get preference. Do you think Heritage gets preferential
Yes.
grading or more?
They get
Of course
bumped.
Yeah,
do.
they get
Absolutely.
9.9 giant size X-Men's.
Okay, so then Heritage and CGC are total. Well, Emmett already thinks they are. They're total garbage and crap, right?
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
the bigger diamond
Just say
account,
case closed, Your Honor. Emmett, walk away.
the bigger diamond accounts always would get
Oh, yeah.
preferential treatment.
Yeah.
Also,
Midtown, Lone Star,
the bigger
and
accounts,
all
yeah,
of those
the-
guys never
yeah.
got allocated like us little guys did.
Midtown would get their books before
I'll-
people because they were helping
I'll
with
say
Marvel
this.
subscription service, whatever. Like it happens in every single industry.
You
So to
say-
just say carte blanche that like whatnot's the worst. They're terrible. They should be gotten rid of. Their but all they care
They're
about
the
is this.
worst.
All they
They're
care
just
about is this.
another. They're just another
No, I
one.
just think I
Then-
don't think
then
they're
all-
the
then-
worst.
Then
Do you think that
everything
same
in our
about-
industry?
Do you guys think the
Everything
same
in our
about
industry
every
should go
live
away.
selling platform then, or just whatnot?
No. Here's
No,
the
I
thing.
mean, we'll see.
Whatnot has
eBay is
proven-
still like going slow, like they're letting people in, which is also picking winners and losers instead of opening it up.
Well, but that's
When I
just
open
having
an
a
account-
criteria, though. I mean,
Right. I
mean,
get it.
honestly, I
get
sat
it.
through an hour of Mark Spears and Brian and Red Hood. Every single book was talked about, explained why they should buy it, what it is. The OA, did Brian freeze?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought you froze and you're just like taking it in or something.
He's
Okay.
like,
But I just think that there's a difference between saying we want Mark Spears and Brian to do a live show on the floor of MegaCon, one of the biggest events in comics, because they bring quality to it, and not having the spinning wheel of prizes and blind bags and that sort of thing.
They can
was-
explain it as a slow rollout, right?
Was every single seller invited to sell at the eBay Live booth this weekend that was at MegaCon? No. So eBay Live is picking winners and choosers,
Yeah.
winners and losers. So eBay Live is
Well, they have
terrible.
there's a limited amount of space.
Look,
Yeah.
somebody
Either do it or don't do
has
it.
to open
You're making
Woodstock, and
excuses for
somebody has to
corporations.
close Woodstock, and a
Sure.
whole bunch of people go in between.
You're making
Okay.
excuses for corporations, Emmett. If they can't do it for everybody, then they shouldn't do it at all.
Queen was on
Probably.
Live Aid in the middle of
Probably.
Live Aid, and they had the greatest performance. They were not chosen to close Live Aid, and they were not chosen to open Live Aid. They were dead smack in the middle of it.
I don't know what that
Yeah,
has to
we're-
do with any of this.
it was
Well,
great.
you've got to pick talent. You've got to pick talent and put them where you want them to go.
So isn't
If
that
you're
what
putting
Whatnot
on a
did?
show-
This is for
Isn't that what
that's-
Whatnot did?
That's what
Yeah.
eBay did.
Well, that's
I-
what
I
Whatnot
mean-
did too. And you guys are mad about it.
Yeah, and then they give fucking Wi-Fi.
But they're not doing it not only on a special occasion, they're doing it daily.
Yeah, they could be. No, I understand.
I
eBay
don't
does
love
his pushes.
eBay. I
eBay does his
don't-
pushes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't love eBay either.
Emmett,
I-
you just close. I'm glad you're safe in your little corner of the world, man. Keep everybody out. Keep eBay out. Keep Whatnot out. Keep
I
the grading
like-
companies out.
I
They're all
like
coming to get
eBay.
you, man. They're all
but-
coming to get you. Just
I'm going to use eBay.
They're
Live.
not coming to get me. I just think that that all these huge corporations are why the country is completely fucked.
Well, I want to give a big shout out to Steve Borock, who's in the chat tonight. He says there was no favoritism when Mark Haspel and I ran CGC. And Steve, we've already had Steve on the show before. Mr. Bud Yuna says, we need Steve Borock to come online with you guys to talk about this. I'd follow him to any company he creates. And I agree with that, Steve. We'd love to have you on again sometime soon, my friend. So
I
be
think
waiting
there's
for a
some
phone
money
call.
guys that would love to get in now that all the rest are out and it's only two. I think there's some money out there that would like to see a third. I think if somebody wanted to open show what their training is, say what the requirements are to
you
get
need
certain grades.
transparency. Imagine that.
Imagine that.
That'd be
Otherwise, it's
amazing.
magic. You send it to the magic man who puts a magic number on your book and puts it in a plastic case and sends it back to you.
I'll pay $23 for Magic Man to give me a plastic case.
Here's something interesting. Disney's $1 billion AI deal goes bust as OpenAI announces Sora shutdown. So if you remember, Disney worked a deal with Sora to let them use their characters in AI stuff. And this was a big deal. We talked about it. You know,
Yep.
Disney seeing the train is going and you can't stop it, and they say we're just going to jump on instead of fighting it, and then boom, goodbye goes Sora.
Yeah.
Is this karma? Is that what this is? Are we seeing karma work?
That's going to just go over to something else, though. If Sora is part of OpenAI, OpenAI is not going anywhere. Maybe Sora is not there, but maybe it's just something else. They can still use it through a different. I didn't read the article, but OpenAI isn't going anywhere. It's not like the company closed and they're and it's done.
I just think that AI is so dynamic right now that even if you came up with the best AI tomorrow, the day after that, a better AI is going to be created, and it's just going to incrementally get crazier.
No, it's crazy.
But all the AI we're using is shit because
it's
not a closed system, so it's pulling from all the bullshit on the internet.
Well, I've used AI, and I'll tell you what, a couple times. I asked for some logo ideas for my new store, and luckily, me and the kids, we designed it out using AI, and we kind of just kept tweaking it until that's pretty cool. And we used that for our Facebook announcement. And then one of my employees was like, get rid of that AI slop. I'll create you a logo that's almost like that, but actually created. And they created the current logo, and it's great. It's even better. AI is a Kickstarter for your brain to get you past certain humps that you can't see past. And that's what I use it for. I use it probably once a day. I've used it probably in the last week every day.
I stay open on ChatGPT open all day long. I barely use Google anymore. I use it for everything. I've used it for character concepts. I've used it for logo concepts. I've used it for if I get stuck in an idea or something. If I have a crazy idea, I'll ask it. I'm thinking about doing this with the business. I've trained my ChatGPT to know it knows my business, my employees, my addresses, how much
I haven't done that revenue. Yet. Is that good?
It's linked to my email. It's linked to my Dropbox. I am deep using AI, and I feel like I'm still scratching the surface of what it can actually do.
Right.
There's flows in there that are insane that it can do. So anyone that's not using AI is completely getting left behind, like just straight up. You gotta, if you're not using it for, I'm not talking about using AI I still am firmly believe you should not publish AI covers or use it for art that's going to be published unless you either number one admit it, and if you do use it, it's still questionably unethical to use that because of how it was sourced. But in 20 years from now, all the people that we're screaming about that are going to be dead and gone, and the next generation is not going to give a shit. So who knows where this is going anyway?
Mr. Bud says when AI starts creating AI, we'll get a T1000.
It's already happening.
What's funny about that is when I was working in space and defense, there was a program called Skynet, a satellite program called Skynet that I tested all those satellite parts on a machine called an Unholtz Dickey T1000. No shit.
That's so cool.
It's a good tool to do minutia. I think if you were going to create art with it, that you would need to produce what you use to produce the art, like the caption that you use to produce the art, and it must be reproducible by other people. So when they put it in, what you said you used to make that art, when they put it in, they get the same art.
I don't know if it was Sean.
It'll never be the same.
I don't know if it was Sean or somebody else, and we were talking about this. AI needs to figure out a way to put metadata in everything that AI produces that other AIs can detect as AI. That normal
we
humans
need some kind of regulation because so that people aren't stealing styles.
Right.
Like you're like down to like, I
remember when there was that trend on Facebook 10 years ago where everybody South Parked themselves.
Yeah.
There's still trends all the time of different things. I just characterize,
but that's all forms of AI. You know what I'm saying?
100%. Yeah. there's always a new AI trend to make yourself look like this or whatever. Like
Right.
I did one the other day. It was fun. My wife did it.
Ladies and
Gave you
gentlemen,
hair?
we have a special guest right now. The
Uh-oh.
dummy. Steve Borock.
Whoa.
What's going on, Steve?
He's the smartest man in the room.
Can you
I
hear
don't
us?
think he can hear us.
Oh, turn.
He's
turn
on
your
delay.
phone-
Turn your YouTube off.
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, but turn your
Delay.
YouTube off because you're
Yes,
echoing.
no? I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Turn your YouTube off though. There we go. We got the man, the myth, the legend, Steve Borock joining us. All right, hold on. Let's see if we can get
good
this to
when
work.
You got Steve Borock on speed dial.
Now you
muted
muted
himself.
yourself. There you
Oh,
go.
now he's unmuted.
Oh,
Now he's
you were
muted.
muted again.
The host has
There we
go.
unmuted your mic.
All right.
There we go.
Is that
Can you hear us
working?
now?
Loud and clear, Steve.
Huh.
I don't think he can hear us.
because he doesn't have a headset in.
Yeah.
Oh,
Turn your
maybe
volume up.
it's my headset. Hold on.
Yeah, there we go.
Ah, there we go.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I was having some dinner. I was tooling around on the web, and I just saw this because I was looking for a great podcast to come on and talk about the stuff about CBCS that I couldn't talk about for many years. The corruption, the idiocy, the whole bit. And that's how I found you guys, because I was on there. I love you guys. So
this is
and
interesting.
Dennis has been one of my dearest friends.
This is beyond interesting, and I'm glad that you're here to talk about it because, PSA is this monster, and we had you on when PSA got announced. And
Sure.
you were very favorable to the head grader over there, which was nice to hear. You talked
Sure.
very favorable about the competition, but now we have one less group for competition out there, which is no good.
Right. I mean, it's never good to have a monopoly. It doesn't matter if they're legitimate or not, right? They're a monopoly, and they're going to believe their own hype. Because everybody's giving them money, right? It's tough. I mean, being a hobbyist, it's just, it's really tough because we all want to hope that our stuff goes up in value or that it's graded, higher or correctly. But, the reality is that greed gets in the way. What did Dylan say? Sure was a good idea until greed got in the way. Right?
Amen.
And CBCS, the first 3 years, ask Dennis. We were rocking it. And then my partner did what he did. Beckett took it over. They were corrupt. They were idiots. They wouldn't listen to anything I had to say. And, that's pretty silly. I created it. Amen. Maybe I know something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's very strange. And, I always try to, as Dennis will tell you, I've always tried to help people. And that's, why I started CBCS. We needed a hobby-friendly place that people could trust. And it wasn't about the money. Look at the lawsuit that we had with those big boys, if you will. They basically blackmailed my ex-partner to bury my testimony. So stuff about them wouldn't come out.
Wow.
But they've been criminals for a long time. But the hobby loves them because they're big.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Unfortunately, and not only that, now a big corporation gets their hands into the mix, and we've been talking about that, how that can, be even bigger problems. Well, it
could be good or bad depending on who's running it. I mean, we can't just say corporations stink because everybody needs to make money. We live in a capitalistic society, right? We have to eat. And we have to take care of our children, our grandchildren. They're the future, right? So, greed isn't 100% bad, but it's 90. If you want to earn money more than the person next to you, right? You gotta hustle. But that's not bad hustling and working, right? It's
You
when
can
you
do it with an
deceive
integrity, though.
people. Right. It's when you deceive people or when you decide that you're better than everybody else.
Steve, how can this change? What causes a change? I mean, what
Oh
can
man, I've been raging against the machine forever. I'm an old hippie. At the end of the day, basically we have so many wonderful, great people in our hobby. And our great hobby, right? We love it. That's why we're here. I mean, a lot of people could make more money elsewhere, right? If they're honest. I mean, um, but it's I'm sorry, it's just so hard. I'm raging against our government right now. I mean, I'm sorry to be a little political, but I didn't grow up saying the Pledge of Allegiance every day at school. To settle for anything less than equal for everybody, right? And they made us say that,
Well,
right?
it's gotta be doubly hard for you because you built CGC. You saw it
Right.
kind of start slipping after you left CGC and went over to one of the auction houses. Then
Right.
you come back and start CBCS with a fresh slate.
and it was
And
amazing. It was so
guiding
fresh.
star, a
Yes.
guiding star, and then you see that turn to shit, and you have to leave that too. Those are two of your
Well, I mean,
babies.
not even leave that. I had to move to friggin' Texas. Which, look, this New York hippie doesn't want to be there, right? And the most dangerous highways in America. But basically, I got screwed. I was sold a bill of goods, and I didn't make any real money out of this. Everybody else made out well. But I don't want to be rich. I make people rich, yes, but I want to enjoy my life. I'm 62 years old. I'm going to be 63. I want to leave something for the future. I mean, I stand on the shoulders of giants: Jerry Louise, Maggie Thompson, Buddy Saunders. All these people who loved our hobby so much and still love our hobby, right? Well, Jerry's passed. It sucks, but you know what I'm saying. And I want to pass it on to the next generation and the generation after that. Ethics and enjoyment. That is the key, right? And if you're making money at the same time, that's wonderful, right?
Is there any doubt that we've been friends for so long and I literally have the exact same fuck it attitude that you have, Steve?
Well, I mean, that's why we became brothers, right?
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
we've had our conversations that had nothing to do with comics, right?
Yep.
And I love you kids. I'm sorry if I'm, doing all this, guys. I know you want to talk
No, you're
comics.
good. You're good.
Well, I want to ask
yeah,
this because a lot of people have been asking in the chat, and since you've been in the chat, that hey, is there any chance
really?
that you,
Sorry.
that you are going to be involved in maybe something in the future with grading? And I tell you what, it doesn't sound like there's a chance for that because you've been burned a couple of times by this grading world that you're
Well, it's
such a
not
big part
just-
of.
Right, but it's not just that, right? I mean, if I wasn't burnt out on this, maybe I would do it, but I don't want to sit in my seat for 15 hours a day the first year, right? And stress and worry about stuff, right? I mean, I sit here. Well, you probably can't see it's dark, but I sit by my pool, and I haven't made a cold call in I don't know 3-4 years. I mean, everybody calls me. I mean, an artist just called me today saying, I was given your name and you can help me. All my stuff was stolen. It's wonderful to be able to help the people who gave me such enjoyment, and it's horrible that it was stolen, but the fact that this guy's calling me, and the fact, I mean, look, Neil Adams and I were great friends, and Don Perlin and I were great friends. I mean, I'm very lucky. And if people understand how lucky they are, they won't be bad people, right? But like you guys were talking about, these people who are rich just want more.
Yeah.
And they don't need to do that. They've already made their money. Be good, be kind, and help people.
Yeah.
We're humans. That's not going to happen. The human race.
If you had to boil it down, Steve, to 3 reasons why you knew this was coming, what would those 3 reasons to CBCS's downfall be?
Greed, and of course, idiocy, and not listening to the people who know. The smartest people I know what they don't know, and ask the people who do, right? I mean, you can't pretend you know what you're doing if you don't. You need to, step up and say, I have no ego. I want to, learn. I want to, ask the experts. And Beckett was so stupid. I mean, I like I said, I couldn't say much. I didn't want my friends and the other employees to lose any jobs.
Yeah.
I care about people, and I care about our hobby, but I also, I'm really kind of bitter about what happened, and I shouldn't be. Ask Dennis; he'll know I'm never bitter.
No.
But I want to set the record straight because I don't want these creeps making up excuses.
Amen. Amen. Well, now that PSA is taking over, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that this could be changed for the better?
I don't know. To be completely transparent, I spoke with a woman at PSA 2.5 years ago, 2 years ago. They offered me a job, but I'd have to move to California, and I didn't want to move to California. I have 5 grandkids here. That's why I moved back to Florida. Otherwise, I would have stayed with Lone Star, but luckily, I'm working with Josh. It's a great thing right now. And I just can't do it again. But they wouldn't listen to a thing I said.
Wow.
And that's when I knew that, the Beckett thing was going to, die. And I once again, they're looking at the bottom line. They're not looking out for collectors. And collectors are what make our hobby, or readers, right? I mean, some people read and don't collect, right? Yeah. I read trades now, so there's no collecting. But I collect original art, when I can afford it.
Yes.
Like I said, I'm not a rich person. Everybody else has made a lot of money off me.
I gotta talk about one thing. So when I first jumped into CBCS, I was at Baltimore. That was the first kind of submission event you guys were doing. And I dropped off 40 copies of Saga #1. Now, I love Steve because he has no fucking clue. I put 40 copies on the table. He has no clue what this book is.
Oh, no, I read Saga.
Okay, but you didn't realize it was like $100.
Oh, yeah, I have no clue. I couldn't care less.
Why is Dennis, this crazy prick, dropping off 40 copies of this book that just came out a year ago or 2 years ago? And I got all 40 of those back, 39 9.8s.
Wow, really?
And one 9.4. And the 9.4 had a folded interior page, and you guys caught that. It would have been so easy to just go, slap a 9.8 on all these. They look clean.
Well, true. I mean, that's the thing. I got crap from certain executives. Why do you need to count the pages? Why don't you just look at the centerfold and stuff like that? And I was like, look, man, this is certification. This is not grading, right? We're trusted. We need to step up and do the right thing, but it takes a long time. And, you know,
Can't
once
make money
again,
in a long
greed gets in
time.
the way. Right. Well, they could make money. That's the thing. But they wanted quicker money.
Right.
You know, just like my partner. I mean, after 3 years, we had to sell to Beckett because he didn't understand that it took CGC 5 years to make a penny. And he didn't really have the business sense I thought he had, and he didn't have the backers he said he had. You know, so once again, you know, I had to, you know, move along with something I didn't like.
I have a question for you, Steve, because AI grading has become very popular in the card world with tag,
sure.
and it's very easy with baseball and trading cards because they're just two sides.
It's two-dimensional.
Right? Yeah.
Right. It's not three-dimensional.
Do you
and
think
also,
that it could ever happen in the comic world? Like somebody could create a machine.
It's going to happen.
Okay.
But it's not going to be what we want. Because like Bob Overstreet and I, you know, when I was working on the grading guide with him and JC Vaughn and everybody. I mean, JC's wonderful. Actually, a new grading guide's going to be coming out soon. But I had what you would say maybe an argument with Bob. And, you know, Bob Overstreet, you know, you don't want to argue with the man. He's like, you know, a god. And he's such a nice person. You know, he's a true hobbyist. And that's why he did this. He was actually, I think, if I remember correctly, he was like a forest ranger while he was working on the guide. I mean, it was a labor of love. And so I want to emulate that, of course. But I mean, sorry, I don't want to rage about stuff. I want to talk about cool stuff. But true, I mean, about AI, you know, the look of the book is very important. And what I was telling Bob was that he said, well, if you have a quarter-inch crease, it can't be in this grade. And I said, well, you know, Bob, you know, if it's a quarter-inch crease and doesn't break color on the front, or it's a, you know, color-breaking crease, well, one is going to be picked by everybody else, so it has to be a little better. Or if the crease is on the white in the back, right? Because we're a visual hobby. You know, where cards are kind of like, cool, man, I got this awesome person or this, you know, whatever it is. It's different. I'm not poo-pooing it. I mean,
no,
everybody
not at
collects
all.
what
Yeah.
they love,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You know, I don't care if you collect, you know, tire tracks. Sorry, I'm an idiot. But it's just, like I said, you know, I believe in peace, love, and understanding. It's really very simple. You know, treat everybody the way you want to be treated. That's it. And we'll enjoy this hobby so much more.
Also, I want to give one more piece of great advice Steve gave me years and years ago. Always, always leave a little meat on the bone when you sell something.
Absolutely. There's no reason to be a pig.
Yeah.
I mean, think about the Wall Street saying, right? Bears make money, bulls make money, pigs get slaughtered.
Yep.
You know, and don't get me wrong, I don't invest anything in Wall Street. I don't trust it. But I mean, look how it's going up and down depending on what Trump says, right?
Right.
Yeah, you could invest in Pokemon cards and in that case, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, I've made, you know, good money investing in the stuff I love. And I've told people that, you know, buy what you love and you can afford. Do not go into debt, you know, and don't
You'll never
speculate.
be disappointed.
Well, right. And if there's ever a real recession, which I think we're heading towards, you're holding toilet paper. So you better enjoy it.
I had a great epiphany.
You all right, Dennis?
Yeah. I smoke too much.
I don't want you dying on me. Well, yeah, I smoke too much too.
In the 90s, I was going around to all these toy stores and comic book stores to buy stuff for my business. And, you know, I was one of those new Jack flippers back in the 90s. And every one of them was like, dude, you've got to start selling these Beanie Babies. Oh, my God, these Beanie Babies are the hottest thing ever. And my partner and I got in the car after like the third lecture that why aren't you buying and selling Beanie Babies? And we came up with the motto that still is my guiding North Star. if it all went south tomorrow, would you be happy with the stuff that you have as your personal collection?
Absolutely.
And that's been my guiding star for like 30 years now.
Right. I mean, I could read a Captain America 155, right, over and over again. Just, it's what I loved when I was growing up.
Yep.
It's like the communist Captain America and Bucky came back. It was wild. And on top of it, was a picture frame cover.
Yeah.
Right?
So
it was kind of cool.
I got a question for you, Steve. So,
Sure.
Where do you see, we were just talking about, maybe you heard it or not, but we're talking about the big companies, the auction houses, and, CGC versus, possibly PSA and these slabs. Where do you possibly foresee this happening with your experience and your years in the industry? Like, I know none of us have crystal balls, but what do you see?
No, I mean, I always say nobody has a crystal ball, right? Otherwise, I'd be super rich. Yeah, right. But that's okay. I mean, like I said, I don't care. I have a great life. I have wonderful, wonderful friends. More than ask Dennis, more than I could ever count in this hobby. And that's just
I don't think we've ever had a smoke break at a convention where you are not getting interrupted 5 times in the middle of our conversation.
Well, it's not an interruption. It's
no,
wonderful.
Exactly. That's what, what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, I've never dreamed when I was younger. This is my 50th year setting up at shows. I was 12 years old when I set up with half a table at the Phil Suling Marketplace in that scummy hotel, But it's insane. I'm the luckiest person I know. I get to have all these friends. I get to help the hobby. I mean, I'm on the board of Hero Initiative, right? There's a reason. I love helping the people who gave me enjoyment. But, if you look at those big boys I was talking about, right? They don't believe in charity. I mean, if you were going to accept it, if you ever needed it, then you should give it or give your time while you can, right? It's weird. We have 90% unbelievable, unselfish people in this hobby who just love the medium, or all mediums, right? Whether it's the movies, whatever, right? Whatever makes you happy. And you don't need to get over on somebody. It's not right.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Did you get a chance to go through C2E2? Because I didn't see you at all.
Oh, no, I wouldn't go. I was just in, I had to go on 2 really
Or not C2E2, I'm sorry, MegaCon. I meant MegaCon.
MegaCon.
Oh, no, I'm saying I went to ShadowCon the weekend before.
Okay.
And then I got stuck in the Orlando airport because, they won't pay TSA a living wage, but we need a $200 million ballroom in the White House, right? We have taxation without representation. At this
What about
point.
OAX?
I mean, it's crazy.
Did you go to OAX?
Oh, actually, I had some health problems. I fell.
Oh, no.
In the hotel, in the bathroom. I missed the toilet by 2 inches.
Oh, no.
It was
same
really
thing happened
bad.
to me in San Diego.
Really?
Yeah, exact same
thing. Oh, that's horrible. I mean, they put me on this medication, and you know how, like, you see those ads on TV, and at the end, everything runs like, this will happen, this could happen, this could happen, right? Well, guess what? Everything happened. And I was passing out. I passed out in a car.
Oh,
luckily, I'm okay, but, that was crazy. I mean, I could have died. So you have to be careful. Like, you should really, check stuff. I trusted all these doctors because, like I said, for 62 years, I trusted people. It worked out okay.
So on what Sean was asking, I think he was asking, how do you think it's going to play out between these 2 big players?
Oh, it's not going to play out.
They're just going to play nice
I'm correct.
And make the money back and forth?
I don't think they're going to make nice. CGC came after us so heavy when we opened, and I thought it was really funny. I mean, the only reason I actually thought CBCS could work and went for it is I was still discussing with people, and ask Dennis. I mean, people have taken me out to dinner and discussed grading services. And I love a good steak and a good bourbon, right? I'm gonna go.
Hey, we had a great steak down in Orlando with Tony.
Oh
A
yeah,
couple years ago.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I remember. Right. But anyway, so Steve Eichenbaum, I think he's now the president of the Certified Collectibles Group. I think Mark Salzberg retired because when they, sold it to whatever Blackstone,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Blackstone,
I
Black
don't know.
Rock, and Vanguard,
BlackRock,
all
yeah.
three.
Yeah, right. He became that. But before that, he called me, and I hadn't heard from him in 4 years. And he said, "I hear you. How you doing? Blah blah." I said, "I'm with my great aunts and the other coast of Florida." And he says, "Oh, that's nice. Blah blah." I asked him how his family was, and he said, "By the way, I hear you're thinking about starting a grading service." And I said, "Well, Steve, I love dinners, and why not? Free, right? I mean, eating Smith & Wollensky's in Manhattan for free is just amazing, or Shun Li, or wherever." And he says, "Well, I just want you to know that if you start this, we're no longer friends." And I realized that they were scared.
Yeah.
And it was really weird. It's his fault CBCS started, right? Because I wasn't sure what to do. But then I was like, "Hey, man, this could work."
No, and it's not just that.
Do they need to
Hold
get
on,
along?
Brian, let me
That's the
just-
question,
Brian,
right?
Brian, let me say this.
Right. Yeah, go on.
But when a friend calls you and hasn't talked to you in 4 years and says, "We're not friends
Right.
if you do this," it's like,
Right.
fuck, I didn't know we were friends for the last 4 years because you didn't fucking call me.
Exactly. That's the thing. And
Sorry,
so
Brian,
I
go
said,
ahead. I just
this
had
is
to get
going to
that
work.
point out. I had to get that point
Yeah,
out.
I don't think they need to play nice. Obviously, they're direct competitors.
Well, they're not going to.
They're not going to. But but where does that competition get fierce, right? Obviously, in pricing.
I don't think it's going to happen. I believe that CGC will stay. Look, the first one gets the lion's share, right? And they've been around since, we started in 1999, but we opened the first month of, 2000. So think about the longevity, right? And how many people have these collections with CGC books? I mean, thousands of collections, thousands of books. And they don't want another grading service. I mean, we had to really fight for it at the beginning of CBCS and prove that we cared about collectors, cared about the books. It wasn't only about the money. Me and my partner, wanted money, but and I wanted to get paid. I mean, I have grandkids and I have kids. We all work for the Pharaoh, right? It's just the way it is. But I've never done it for money. I've done it to live. That's it. And by the way, I keep getting these notifications as we're talking. People are asking to go on the CBCS chat board like crazy.
Oh, I bet.
And the forums are really nice. I don't interact as much. I mean, I interacted tonight, of course, but I play just this game where you see a piece of a cover and you have to guess it. And
I love those.
It's so much fun, and it's good for my memory. I'm getting old, so why shouldn't I work on that instead of a crossword puzzle or Sudoku or whatever?
I think actually now that they're down to 2, that it is to play nice.
I don't think
there won't ever be
CGC
one.
will play nice.
Here's the thing.
We were 2 when we started.
Earlier. CGC decided out of nowhere, we want a piece of the card market. And the wheels started turning at that moment for PSA to go, "Oh, nice comic book grading company you have over there."
Right.
And that, you don't go into another man's backyard unless you expect him to take whatever he wants from your house.
Right. And also we're talking about corporation. You know, I don't think they're going to give it 5 years to make money, but I could be wrong. You know, I mean, I hope I am. I really am. I mean, I'm sure there's great people who are going to be working in the comics division, and you know, they're going to have, you know, good intentions, right? But you know, the road to hell. I don't know. I mean, you know, like you said, nobody has a crystal ball. But you know, I really hope it's great for the hobby because competition is always good. You know, and I love the people at CGC. I have a lot of friends there. I think they've made some weird moves, but it's not my company. What do I care, right? I have to, you know, just deal with it like everybody else.
Yeah.
I think they'll split the market right down the middle, and then they'll raise
Really?
prices. They'll raise prices together to fix the pricing.
I don't know, man. I'm telling you, I've been in that certification game since 1999. Right?
Oh, it's not the certification because they're not transparent about how they do it.
Have you ever seen the movie?
One doesn't look mega more than the other, right? I don't
right,
know.
But one wants to crush the other. Right, but see, CBS, you know, still has a reputation for grading really well.
Yes.
It still didn't matter.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, Beckett came along and it was just a big grab for money.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't care about anything and they were corrupt. I mean, look, Sandeep, the guy who was like running it, you know, was indicted or something for stuff. I didn't pay attention to it. It makes my stomach turn.
Here's the thing: with CBCS leaving, a lot of these people are going to go to one or the other, and if you get a big group of these people leaving CBCS to go to CGC, and they have more submissions, higher demand, it could cause them to say, okay, now we're going to raise prices because we've got
Brian. But I don't know if you understand. Almost everybody I know that chose CBCS chose them because they would not grade through CGC.
Right. A lot of people. And some just came over.
Yeah.
You know.
And I don't think any of them have ill will towards that PSA brand, except for maybe like Sean hating the color of the label.
So what about PSA?
I mean, look,
there's a lot of people that hate the color label.
Should PSA drop their prices right now? Should they say, hey, we're going to lower our prices?
No, they should up their game. They should hire the best people, the best restoration experts. You know, I mean, they should, you know, figure out the best holder. I mean, I hate the CGC holder because of the interior. You know, I said we should, you know, when we started, Mark and I said, look, the corners have to be protected, but it's flawed. I mean, the corners, create slab damage now. And if you look at the CBCS interior holder, that doesn't happen unless it's dropped. I mean, look, you drop anything in a Mylar, it doesn't matter, right? Yeah. But, you know, they wouldn't change because the tooling costs are expensive. And once again, it's about the bottom line and not about us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the companies that make those plastic holders aren't innovating. You have to pay for the innovation.
Yeah,
you have to ask, and then you're paying for the research and development.
Well, you don't.
The company you're going through.
Do you guys not like the PSA holders? Do you think that they're not innovating with those? Holders?
I haven't even seen it. I'm not poo-pooing anybody. I was talking about the CGC holder that they wouldn't change.
And I'm biased, of course, but that PSA holder,
it's a brick.
It's a brick. And
I heard that. I heard it doesn't even fit into a comic box or something.
Very heavy. Very heavy.
It fits in a mag box perfectly, which is where
a mag. Right.
But I went at the shows. Anytime somebody says, "Can I see that PSA slab?" I always grab a CGC slab and I hand them the CGC slab first. I go, "I just want you to feel the difference," and I hand them that PSA slab, and they're like, "Oh God, this is great."
Wow.
Really? It just feels more significant.
It feels like you could bang it against a tree and it wouldn't break.
Yes.
Right. But I mean, at the same time, the sellers, right, Dennis, don't want to. I mean, look, there's a reason there's no treasury.
They want it
there's
lighter.
a reason there's no treasury certification, right?
Right.
I mean, think about it. Do you want to carry 10, 6-pound slabs?
Right.
Or do you want to carry inventory that you can really sell? Right.
Well, that's why I'm doing C2E2 with 10 boxes of Pokemon cards instead of hauling 20 long boxes to the goddamn place.
I'm hauling 20 long boxes.
No, I mean, certain conventions, are better for certain things. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the cards because my grandson, he got the Pokemon. And
you didn't tell me. I got to send you some Pokemon.
Oh, so you're a Pokemon dealer? Is this a comic book industry show? I'm sorry.
Well, everything is generational, guys. I mean, look, who knows who Dick Tracy is? Who knows who Tarzan is? I mean, stuff that used to sell like crazy.
The last guy who knows who Hopalong Cassidy is might have just died.
Maybe, right? But I mean, I can't sell a photo cover. I mean, nobody cares about John Wayne. Right? I mean, so Turtles, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh,
Power Rangers,
multimedia characters have a lot more.
Right, Star Wars, but comic characters as well. I mean, look, Spider-Man, Batman. I mean, these are classics. But then again, 50 years from now, they might not be, right? Because every generation covets what they grew up with.
Yep.
And that's basically our hobby. Some graduate. Well, I call it graduation, but they graduate to the older books or
I agree.
Whatever. It's crazy. I mean, right now I've got 100 10.0 Pokemons for my grandson. He loves looking at them. And I've got a bunch of Marvel cards at 10-Os because I love looking at them. And then I have a bunch of sealed boxes.
That reminds me.
I just wanted to know, like, how long does, now that, like, once they were taken over by the big corporation, how long does each book get? How much in front of a greater time?
Well, I mean, I don't know anymore, but I got to tell you that I know they're moving fast. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you give them an Archie 1, right, I mean, they're going to take some time with it, of course, right? Mm-hmm. But that's because the money's there, right? But if you send in a Black Goliath #3 and fine, I mean, it's gone. I mean, I'm sorry. I wish it didn't happen that way because, Mark and I, and then CBCS, at CGC, I mean, and then CBCS, we didn't do that.
Right.
People expected us to do the right thing by them.
You and I had a conversation 4 or 5 years ago, because I know it was right after COVID, but before I opened my store. And we were talking about the 1966 Marvel cards and how they were so undervalued.
Yeah.
And did you see what that Spider-Man just sold for?
I don't want to know because I got rid of mine. I always get rid of stuff too early.
So they're finally paying attention to the fact that these are the Marvel characters rookie cards.
Right.
And that Spider-Man 34 is going for 4 figures in mid-grade.
Oh, wow.
Just for the one card.
Wow. I had boxes.
I know. Damn it.
No,
I thought I was going to tell you.
Right, but you got to look back in kindness.
Yeah. No.
Did we enjoy what we were doing?
Absolutely.
Did we make a little money? Sure. So it's okay.
I wanted to ask one more question. What's the best piece of OA you ever bought and sold?
Well, I haven't sold this one, but I'm thinking about it. I have one that's been off the market for 30 years. It was my first piece of original art, and the only reason I bought it, it was, well, I can tell you guys, I don't care, actually. It's the Starman #7 cover. I loved, the Harris stuff, and of course the writing. Was it Robinson? I can't remember now.
James Robinson.
Yeah, James Robinson.
Yeah, I have that whole run.
Great.
That's one of my favorite all-time runs. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So I'm with Ed Jaster. He passed a little bit, but he became. I wrote his recommendation letter for Heritage. He became, a big force behind Heritage. Yeah, that's the cover.
I loved these covers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but mine doesn't have any writing.
You know what?
Yeah.
This reminds me of Kaluta from the 70s.
Right?
Yeah, Matt Kaluta for sure, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but it has its own thing to it. But nobody who comes to my house thinks that it's a comic book cup.
Yeah.
And I just fell in love with it. So we're walking past Scott Edder's table in '95, and I stopped dead in my tracks because I see this, and I said to the guy, I didn't know Scott at the time, and now we're very good friends. Actually, we spent the whole trip to San Diego talking to each other. We actually just somehow were sitting next to each other on the plane. But that was cool. Sorry, I digress as always, right, Dennis? Anyway, I'm like, wow, how much is it? And I think he said like $800. And I was like, oh man, that's a lot.
That was a lot
for me to
back then.
spend on a piece of comic art because I was buying the More Fun 52 church copy, the Flash 1 church copy. It's hard to spend money on something you don't know, and I didn't understand original art. I mean, when I was a kid, Jack Kirby and Roz were offering me, covers for $50, and I was turning them down. I said, I don't like the black and white stuff. I want to read, Fantastic Four 55, Jack. But I was a stupid kid. Oh, I'm still stupid, but I'm not a kid. But anyway, so I said, man, I don't think I want to spend that kind of money. And Jaster punches me in the arm, and he says, you're an idiot. And I said, well, I knew that, but what are you talking about? And he said, you're going to hang this up and you're going to love it for $800. And I'm sure I can get the guy down to $750. And you just spent $22,000 on a non-key comic book. You're a moron. So I bought it, I mean, we were the bad boys of the convention back then. I mean, I don't even want to mention what went on.
There's stories.
Oh, I know, but
I won't
I'm
tell
not
any
telling
of them
them
until you're dead or I'm dead.
Oh, when I'm dead, I couldn't care less. I just don't. The names will be changed to protect the innocent, right?
And the guilty.
No, I don't care about the guilty at that point. I'm going to leave a diatribe and out people. I don't care.
What do they call that? The death button or whatever, the dead man button.
Right.
Kill switch.
Yeah,
the kill switch.
But then again, they might not be around. I mean, I'm old and they're not young.
I love
what it is.
Rob Liefeld's always talking about how he's waiting until everybody retires before he can start telling the stories, right?
Well, exactly. That's why I waited until CBCS was history.
Amen.
But Steve, I didn't want the wrong stuff getting out there.
I got to tell you, man, we got to have you on for a show where we can talk about more than just comic book grading and grading companies falling to the wayside. We got to get you on here ASAP. You are one of the most well-respected people in this industry, and the chat.
I don't know.
Well, listen to this, man. Even the chat, like for instance, this guy in the chat just said, "Steve, you're a cool dude. I met you many years ago when he was located in St. Pete. You talked to me for an hour, and I've been rooting for you for years. Thank you for all you do and did." So that's what I'm talking about.
Everybody is just too kind. They really are. I mean. Like
You've earned it. You've earned it.
Yeah.
You have totally earned it.
I did what I thought was right. It's not that I earned it. I just followed,
you earned it by doing what you thought was right, brother.
Amen.
Right.
Amen.
I want to be a human being, and some humans ain't human. That's all.
Yeah.
There's always bad apples. We've been talking about them all night, Steve. So
exactly. Well, thank you, Dennis, for inviting me on, and thank you guys for having me. I mean, I wasn't expecting
As
this.
always,
I was just
brother,
like
I love
BSing,
You're one
I
of
love
my
you too,
favorite
man.
people in this industry, brother.
Well, give my love to your kids, Dennis.
I will.
Okay?
Steve, we'll talk to you soon, my friend. Thank you for hanging
just
out.
give me a call if you want me to come on.
We'll be calling you next week, my friend. Full show.
Okay. Well, I since I'm holding the phone, I can't give you like the little thing with my hands together. But I keep on rocking, guys. Keep on keeping the faith and the hobby safe. Okay.
Thank you, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Steve Borock, ladies and gentlemen. What are the chances? He jumped in the chat. Dennis says, "Come on the show. We want to hear from you." That's the one guy that we definitely want to hear from in this matter right now, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Yeah, if anyone knows and has an idea what's happening or what could happen,
That's the thing. Yeah, it starts with integrity, man, and then just people see, oh, there's money in that.
Yeah.
Oh, how can we make more money?
Well, and that's how
your integrity's got to fucking
I
go.
guarantee you, what he told us tonight, and going by the 15 years I've talked to him, his partner basically said, "Oh, dude, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, we're gonna do this." Steve's like, "Okay, but we have to do this, this, and this." "Oh, absolutely, we're gonna do this, this, and this, but we also have to do this, this, and this." And Steve did the this, this, and this. And then they're like, "Hey, you need to sacrifice one of those two, and because I can't do all of this." And then Beckett gets in there and like, "Yeah, you're gonna have to push way back on that 1, 2, and 3 if we're gonna make this thing work." And Steve basically just said, "Fuck it, I got grandkids. I'm in Texas."
You, man, I hope that dude can write a book or something about his experiences before too late. Like like.
All it takes is a smoke break and a steak dinner, and you'll hear about half of the stories that I know, and you'll be like, "Salute, brother."
I'm sure there's certain NDAs. Here's the thing, like, you can tell, even if he can talk about things, he's still reluctant to say people's names because he's such a good dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to throw people under the bus or call people out. He could probably say whatever he wants to, but his integrity and his honor and his just respect as a man, as a person, won't allow him to do that. Like, that is so rare.
One of the things that
better man than me, I would burn everybody to the ground.
One of the things at Comic-Con that happened, or at MegaCon that happened, is the amount of people that came up to me and said, "Hey man, like, what you guys are doing over at the channel and making it so people can come on and talk about these things, and it's a safe place to come on and say, this is the bullshit that's happening," that type of deal is super important. And I gotta say, here's the other thing: there is some major bullshit and fuckery that's going on in the industry right now, that there's some reckoning that's going to be coming through the industry over the next year or so. And we've kind of talked about this before, that you need an example to be made in certain situations. We've talked about it with street date stuff, that there needs to be an example made to stop it. In the world of the retailer and the retailer world, between retailers, there's a lot of fuckery that goes on that you guys deal with constantly. That examples at some point are going to have to be made to say, hey, this is the type of shit you can't do, and the reason that you don't want to do it is because this is going to happen to you. You know what I mean?
Well, Daredevil, I think Marvel was behind it. People are opening it on Instagram and TikTok. They're opening Daredevil blind bags. We haven't even got ours. I don't even know if I'm getting mine.
Yeah.
It's I don't know, man.
I think they had them at MegaCon. Did you guys see them at MegaCon?
No, I didn't see a single
nowhere.
MegaCon.
I didn't see them anywhere.
I just want to say one thing, a total non sequitur. I spent 3 days at MegaCon. Brian was there for over a week. Sean was there for even more than a week because you vacationed before. How am I the only one that got some sun there? You pale motherfucker.
I can't get sun, bro. I'm Irish, bro. I'm pale, bro. I get burnt.
I just have so much light on me right now. I look like I'm more whitewashed than normal.
Yeah. This is from Florida 3 days ago.
Yeah. Man, you should wear a hat.
Emmett doesn't get red. Emmett doesn't get red unless he gets mad or intense. Then
or drunk. Or drunk.
Red underneath that.
I've seen it.
It was a fun. Let's before we go tonight and end out the show, because we're almost at 3 hours. I want to remind everybody, we're going to be getting into the conventions over the next couple of weeks. We're going to get into that really deep next week. And talk about the money being made at these conventions really deep next week as well, and some of the stuff that's going on. Whenever there's money being made, there's some things that happen that you have to keep an eye on. But MegaCon was crazy. Shout out to Rye for that one.
Understatement.
Yeah.
Understatement.
Yeah. Rye just dropped a $10 super chat. He said, Sean, as one of your 2.0 diamond guys, I want your SIG on some of the medals or something, please, even if it's a paid add-on. So there you go, bro.
Just message the team, brother, and the Patreon. I'll sign anything you want to, bro. No problem. It still feels weird to sign books, but I will sign anything you want to.
That was one of the things at MegaCon. Shout out, I think it was Out of This World Comics came up to us with the Grommets board, right? One of the Grommets skateboards, and he says, "I want all the Beyond Wednesday guys to sign this skate deck because I'm going to put it on my wall." And I was like, "Dude, that's freaking awesome! That was absolutely amazing." And the other thing is the amount of people that I saw, obviously, that said how much they love the show and that we got to hang out with was great. But there was so many people at MegaCon; it was unreal. There was like, it was just, and it was huge. It was massive. The floor of the con is massive, and you're just it's so much walking around the con, and it was a lot. I thought it was going to be smaller than it was, or a little bit less, crazy. But man, there was a ton of people there.
I shared a picture in our Facebook message group. If you could share it. Yeah. So, I walked the floor Friday afternoon, evening till close. Then I went most of Saturday. I had a nice breakfast, like Music Pub said. And I didn't go over till like noon, 1 o'clock. And I was out by like 5 o'clock because the crowd was just too intense. And I'm not like that normally. I was just getting anxious. There were too many fucking people. Like the overflow aisles were fuller than the main aisle. You could not walk from one end to the other. I had a great dinner Saturday night. I was sitting next to two of the paramedics who were working it. And I was talking to them and like, dude, we had an emergency over on the actor area. And I had to call for her as backup. And it took her 15 minutes to get from one side of the hall to the other. They got to figure out something better for the flow and all of that.
Bro, every con is like that now. Go to New York will be the same. Fan Expo, any of the big ones.
But
New York's even worse.
But the funniest thing, Brian Friday, dude, did you hear Comic Tom? And he was just over. And Sean was like, hey, Sean's next to Sean, and I didn't even see Sean. And I'm in the airport leaving Orlando, and I run into Comic Tom.
That's funny.
He was everywhere at the convention. Everyone saw him. I didn't see him till the end of the show, or till I'm leaving.
Yeah.
So shout out to Comic Tom. Yeah.
He was him and Davis were walking around the con, and they're great. Every time I see those two guys, they're two of the nicest guys. Very respectful.
They are great ambassadors to our business.
I've never heard them say a cross word about anybody. They don't get involved in drama. They just love comics. They have a genuine love of comics. And it's a pleasure to talk to them. We said this before for a while there, especially during COVID, just after COVID, the YouTube space in comics was nothing but negativity. Everything sucked. To be fair, though, there was a lot of crap out there.
There was.
But everything was garbage. Everything was crap. This is ruined. Disney ruined this. This sucks. This sucks. And again, there was a lot of garbage out there, but there was still some cool stuff being made. Like now there's still channels just surviving on this sucks, this sucks, this sucks. There's a lot of great stuff being made and they don't talk about it. Everything's just terrible.
One of the largest channels is just beating up comics.
Hawaiian shirt guys.
Yeah, the one guy that lives in the Philippines. What the fuck is the name of that show?
Wes.
Yeah.
Thinking critical.
That's it.
Yeah. I mean, I've talked to Wes. He seems like a good guy. He's a good dude.
He knows what's getting him paid, man. He gets 60,000 views on a video.
Yeah, I mean, he's an Air Force guy too. He retired from the Air Force of the Philippines, but he's everything's just. I don't know if the guy's read anything he's ever liked. I mean, I'd love to know what he likes.
He likes 80s stories that will never be relevant again.
He likes Space Ghost. I think it's all he likes. Space Ghost.
That might be the only thing.
I like Wes from Thinking Critical a million times more than I like the Hawaiian shirt pricks.
Of course you do.
Those were the two. We had we did a EFAP of their show about the 10 red flags of a comic shop.
Oh yeah, I saw that show. I was man, I had so much to say about that. I was like, oh, what a good. I'm watching it and I was like 20 minutes behind the live show in bed watching it. My wife got mad at me, was kicking me out of bed. She's like, will you stop huffing and puffing over there? And I was like, these guys suck. Like,
hey, by the way, Dennis, a few weeks ago, you talked about how you were selling these minor league baseball boxes, right?
Yeah, yeah. Is that the one?
That's the Jordan right there. Box? I don't know if it's from your box, but this guy they call it Rare Air 99 SP Top Prospects Michael Jordan retrospective autographed at 10.
Oh, how much is it?
Oh, he doesn't say. He doesn't say, but
yeah, there's not a lot of sales of it because
there's only 10.
I'm telling you, I bet you I was the only person with one of these for sale for 3 months, and I bet you this guy ripped my boxes and pulled that.
Good.
Hell yeah.
I want people to get.
Dude, I had it forever. And sadly, I think I paid $20 a box, and I got 200 or 150 a box. I'm okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the people that at MegaCon, we're going to talk about this a lot, but I want to give a big shout out to Suspiria. Susie was amazing. She came down from Toronto. So many people came up to me and talked to me about her, and we're going to be talking about her all week. That was so much fun to see her. Which was, I brought a bunch of books. I bought a piece of original art from her, which when I get it, I'll show you guys. It's nuts. And that was one of the few. I only bought a couple of things at the show, and then hanging out with Mark was amazing. Get to see Mark in person for the first time. But the con was just so crazy that we didn't get a chance to go out to eat or anything because there was no place to get tables. So, but that was a lot of fun seeing Mark. Sean, your setup is great, man. I love the fact that you guys have this. You have this command center in the middle where you can go do streaming. You can bring artists in to sign stuff. Like, that is a great fucking setup. And if I was ever to model a setup after anybody, that's the way I would do it, because
I've seen that setup, Sean, because you have that at C2E2 too, don't you?
Yeah, same setup pretty much.
Yeah. Do you know who invented that setup?
I don't know.
No. I wish I could take credit for that.
The first guy to have too many comics.
Yeah, no, it was Kevin Smith and the View Askew booth. And the reason they did that was so Kevin could go back into that spot and smoke during the convention. And anytime, and we always just used to joke, oh, Kevin Smith just elected a new pope. Because you just see this white little fluff, and this was before like all of the smoke detectors in every place. Kevin Smith had that little bunker, and he would pop back there and have.
Yeah, I just need somewhere to do. Honestly, that's why I have such a big booth. I don't even use my table space, my front facing space, very well. I've tried, but there ends up being a lot of dead space out there. I try to fill it up, but I need the interior space so much more. We're constantly onboarding and bagging comics, and you go get this guy, you go get that guy. This guy's coming to the booth. Elias will be here. Carla, we had a huge Carla Nuccio signing at the booth. It was nuts. And sometimes we get so busy. I'm so bad at like self-promoting our own stuff. Like, I don't have a single picture of myself with any of these creators at all. Like, and it's just, to me, it's just, I'm just seeing my friends. Like, but there's one guy I make fun of him. Just quick thing before we got here. There's one dude I make fun of him. He knows the same people I do. He is the king of self-promotion. You would think this guy he goes to a show. First thing he does, runs around, takes pictures of everybody, and then he makes this huge social media post of him and all these people. And it's literally just like, let me get a picture. Okay, gotta go. Let me get a picture. Okay, let me get a picture. Okay, gotta go. Like, he's hanging out with everybody all weekend. I was like, you saw this person for 4 seconds. Like, anyway.
Brian, I sent you one more picture. This goes along with what Sean just said. I want to have at least one of those experiences. I take pictures with all the friends that I meet and that kind of stuff. But once a show, I have to meet a certain celebrity and Uncle Hank from Breaking Bad, $60 autograph. This guy was such a sweet guy, just nice to talk to. He didn't have a huge line, and dude, he's one of the greatest characters in TV history. So I had to meet him.
Yeah, nice.
Bro, what are you wearing?
Right?
That's a con outfit, sir. That's my uniform.
So
I couldn't even. Hey, he had a bald head. This is old bald head guy standing next to you.
Shout out to the official music pub for the 20 gifted memberships, and Rye for another super chat. He says, hang on, maybe that came off as if I was talking crap. That's not what I meant. I appreciate all you do. No, that didn't come off as you were talking crap.
No,
not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Not
bro.
at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
I appreciate you. Hey, you guys.
Yeah, he's offended. Send us another $10.
So I have a Patreon. Everybody in there gets an exclusive Shikari cover every month. They get to vote on it. You get a discount on the website. We launched, for example, an exclusive Shikari. They got first dibs at an exclusive Shikari Pop Kill cover today, a naughty version of it. There's certain things we do in there that only the Patreon gets membership to, and he's one of the top tier members of the guys. He gets medals and white medals and all the stuff from Shikari every month. And I appreciate you being in there, brother. I'm trying to do more and more stuff with this Patreon. It's just I'm so stretched thin. I have a great team that manages it. We just offered up a bunch of prints in there today for sale. We do giveaways and stuff. You guys are interested, just go to Comics Elite, click on some shit. Shameless plug. Thanks, Brian. But
and
appreciate
also
your membership in there, brother. And I'll sign anything you want to, man, anytime.
Also, you're going to be at C2E2, so if anybody's going to be at C2E2, make sure to stop by the booth, say hello. Dennis is going to be there also. You're going to be selling Pokemon
I'm actually
cards.
like 2 aisles over from your island, Sean.
Nice.
I don't know what the booth number is. I don't care.
And then,
well, I changed islands too because I had this big toy guy next to me. I'm in a totally different spot.
Okay.
Yeah, totally different spot.
Okay.
Shout out to
I'm nowhere
Kilted
near
Corgi with the $1.99 super sticker. Appreciate you.
Cool.
Okay, here's another something special for tomorrow night, you guys. This is going to be really special, and I can't tell you guys what it is, but it's going to be very special. It's going to be very emotional. I can tell you that right now. Feral number 21 is coming out, and Tony and Trish Forstner are going to hopefully join us tomorrow night. And we have something special for the Beyond Wednesdays crew and for Beyond Wednesdays fans and people in the live chat. That's all I'm going to say. This is a major issue. If you guys don't know about this issue, Feral is probably one of the best books in comics. It is excellent. If you guys have never had a chance to read it, there's a problem. You guys need to go check it out. It's at obviously 21 issues. That means it's doing something good. And
it's incredible.
Yeah, if you read Stray Dogs, issue 21 is a big deal. It's an all silent issue, and it's very, very. All I'm gonna say, it's very, very special, and we have a surprise for a lot of the Beyond Wednesdays guys on the show. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. That's tomorrow night. Don't miss it for Wednesday night review. Like I said,
I got one more photo. I sent you 2 more photos, Brian. I got my only promotion for tonight, other than all the other ones that I already did. The Epic Invincible sale on eBay Live tomorrow, 3 p.m. There's a QR code somewhere. I don't know that one. I don't know if you can even see that on your computer screen. I actually talked with eBay Live about adding some things because I think their social media interaction is lower than what it should be because they don't have a couple things. But I'm just going to have fun selling Invincible issues tomorrow. And I'll see you tomorrow at 3 p.m.
Big shout out
to that show, man. You have so much cool stuff in that show. Like it's everyone needs to get into that show.
Yeah, for sure. Emmett, you got anything coming up?
I'm buying shit.
Yeah.
A lot of shit. House full of shit.
Awesome.
I've had 3 clean out guys come in. People are bringing me stuff left and right. I got 350 albums, vinyl records of just
I'm
all
jealous.
the best stuff. Sealed Blondie, sealed Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers live double album sealed. A Bruce Springsteen sealed.
How did somebody buy those albums back in the day and not open them? That's what I want to understand.
So this was a DJ who like there was multiples of the same albums, but they are in pristine condition. All the ones that are open still have the plastic on them.
Nice.
Like
That's
all the
awesome.
ones that use
Hype stickers, and all of the
Big shout out to also this guy in the chat, Mark Spears. He says sold out of Midnight Man drop in 45 seconds for the cardstock, less than 2 minutes for the spot foil. Happy midnight. Excellent.
Oh, was that
job.
tonight at midnight?
Yeah.
Yeah. It just happened 6 minutes ago. You missed it.
Yep. So, and the Midnight Man book is
congrats, Mark.
Excellent, by the way. Ladies and gentlemen, we are 3 hours, Mark. I want to say thank you for everybody that have hung out tonight. And
you gotta mention one thing though before we go. Sam.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely
Sam's
talk.
passing.
Yeah, rest in peace, Sam Keith. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that. But I gotta go, you guys. Good night. Adios.